I,
Hey
I
everybody,
ask
I
those people who
think you
say, "Oh,
should
it's because
be
we don't
able
have
to
money
hear.
anymore." What was the last building of that type of architecture that we built and we said, "Okay,
Uh,
now we stop
okay,
this
okay.
type of architecture because we don't have money anymore."
All right,
Why?
here's the thing.
Which was the last building? You
Oh God, he's still
recognize
going.
those buildings? Okay, they have tall doors because the Tartarian or whatever you call them. Okay, they were giants.
Sorry, what the fuck did you just say to me?
Yeah.
Time to bot dance. That's right, you all follow Rach and do your bot dances. Show them how it's done, Rach. Oh, Craven, that's next door.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that does the stupidity what Cassandra Nova did to Johnny Storm. Oofed. Sorry, spoiler if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, but you know. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back very much. So, yeah, I've been in bed since the last stream that lasted 50 hours because you guys are psychotic and wanted me to die or something. But yeah, no, thank you very much, guys, for the previous stream, which I thought was going to be a 7-8 hour membership drive stream, but you guys kept it going for 50 hours because either you like me or you wanted to murder me slowly live on the internet. But either way, thank you very much, and this is my first day back since that amazing stream because I took a little bit of time off to celebrate and spend some time with my family. But today we are back and we have with us another Nathan. We have Nathan Erickson. Nathan, hello, how are you doing?
Hey Craig, doing well yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, so everybody, this is Nathan Erickson. Pitch Cullum, is that what you're known as?
Yeah, pitch lumen.
Pitch Lumen.
Yeah, or Nathan. Yeah. It's for the name is based off of like sonoluminescent sound and light. Pitch is sound, lumen is light, and then that has to do with like in the beginning God said let there be light. So it is a little bit of a nod to Genesis. And then sonoluminescence is a theory for what stars could be or a hypothesis for stars on a flat Earth. So
Fun. All right, so
source. So
for people that are new to my channel, because I do have nearly 1,500 new members after my last stream, I do debates with people that think the Earth is flat. Nathan here does think the Earth is flat. Hopefully this is going to be a friendly, intellectual discussion, but we'll see how it goes. So Nathan, thank you for taking the time to come and talk to me, and hello to everyone over on your channel. Why don't you just take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, and let people know what your position is, because the last thing I want to do is strawman you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, first off, thank you for having me here. I've been looking forward to having this discussion with you and for it to happen, and hopefully we can have a few more, assuming this goes well. I think we can keep it cordial and everything. And so Yeah, my position is that the Earth is, we're specially created. All of us are made by a creator as opposed to naturalism and being a result of chemical reactions that form biological products. Chemistry is always chemistry and never jumps into biology. It's abiogenesis has never been substantiated. And so we're here, specially made by the creator. The Bible I do take as literally true. And I believe that it explains a lot about humanity, morality. If we lived according to the teachings of Jesus, I believe that we would have a much better world, closer to very good. I believe that the God of the Bible is is good to righteous people, to good human beings, which is most people, and that will actually tie into something I was going to try to discuss in this stream, which it has to do about like the conspiracy of the topic, because I think there are a lot of good people who find it very hard to believe people would lie to them, especially to such a scale, that people could be deceptive, would want to hurt others. And actually today, it's kind of today there was something that happened today. I walked outside the house and someone was like being chased by this person who was gonna actually attack them with like a butter knife, and everything was cool, no one got hurt or anything. But like I think if people understood how special they are, it might cause people to treat one another differently. And I do believe, I claim to know the Earth is flat. I used to think the Earth was a globe. I loved astronomy. And if the Earth was a globe, okay, I want to be in reality, not in a delusion, because there are problems on this Earth that if we're all in reality, we can work together. We have this communication technology. We have access to it. We the people, so we can all speak, say our voice, and we want peace and everything, so we could have it. It's just a matter of finding common ground and establishing it, and making sure that we are respectful, civil, intelligent people. I believe everybody is intelligent. People are smart, especially if you give them the opportunity or they have a passion in something. And so I believe, we can work together, and there, most people are good. So if we are the ones in, decision-making positions, we would have a better world than the people who are willing to use biological and chemical agents on us through Operation Sea Spray and large area coverage and those types of things. But I'll get into that a little later. So yeah, that's I'm a biblical literalist, and I have some academic stuff. I'm at my school right now that I've gone into. I think there's a lot of good people in academics as well, but I think there's some areas where there's not as much concern for what we're learning, which is kind of problematic. But that we can talk about that too. But yeah, I think that's a little bit about me. So I like tea as well.
I just finished my Earl Grey, so yeah, I'm ready to go. Well, great. Yeah, no, obviously this I want this discussion to be about flat Earth, and I like to focus on the empirical evidence of what we can see and what we can measure and what we can test. But if you don't mind, I do have one question about creationism and stuff. And you say that we were made by a creator. Well, my question is, why did they do such a bad job then?
I don't think they did a bad job.
Really?
I think he did. I think our creator did an excellent job at making a very good creation.
With the
and
human
he made a creation that. Sorry, go on.
You mean, are you saying that you think the human body is a good creation?
Yes. Yeah.
Would you like me to run through a short list of problems with the human body? And maybe you can explain why the creator decided to include these. Back pain, knee problems, childbirth complications, appendix, which kills people, wisdom teeth, which can cause massive problems. The design of our sinuses is woefully inadequate. Vision issues, I have to wear glasses. Varicose veins can cause people to have amputations. We can't regulate our body temperature properly. We have problems with our dentistry. We can easily choke on stuff. Mental health is a massive problem. Autoimmune diseases, things like multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis. My body is full of massive injuries that are a result of my body being poorly designed. So if there's a creator that created the body, why does he do such an awful job? Like our spine, for instance. Our spine is not suited to be upright. The amount of problems that we give our body just by standing upright. What an awful design to have a spine that is not designed to support us upright. Why would a creator make such a poor thing for something that is supposed to support our life? That just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, that's those are very fair and valid criticisms. I actually think, Craig, when you are being critical like that, I think that's actually a biblical thing, because the Bible says to prove all things, and so we are supposed to be scrutinizing and analyzing and trying to have rational resolve in our understanding of how we finalize our interpretations. And so yeah, I do definitely I'm aware that there are a lot of problems with the body that people go through, and various conditions and ailments and pains that especially in older age can get to people. And I do believe that in the beginning the body was so there are kind of a couple events in biblical, if you're trying to in good faith consider a biblical worldview. The starting position is that there was a very good creation, not perfect, it was very good. God gave man free will, which allows us to choose. If you love something or dislike something, it's genuine because you can choose among options. So he made a very good creation, so good that there was actually no death. So one of the things that people will say is, why are there, kids with cancer or hurricanes and things like that? But in God's original creation, if you're an atheist that uses those kinds of points, or a naturalist that uses those kinds of points, you actually are agreeing with God's original creation, where he didn't want death. And the Bible actually says that God weeps when we are in pain, when we are in suffering, when there is death, tragedy, and God knows all of those, and he feels those on an infinite level. And so God did not want us to fall, which is why he said, do not eat the fruit, the forbidden fruit. If that would not have happened, we wouldn't have the aches and pains and the knee problems that we would be feeling. Yeah, but our bodies would be much better.
I mean, all that, so, if God has a plan for everything, and then all that was part of his plan, and then he did this. And the other thing is, if he created this world for us, then why is it so inhospitable to us? We can inhabit a very low percentage of this world. Most of this world is deadly to us. A lot of the animals here will kill us. The thing that gives us life also kills us, i.e. the sun. The thing that we need to drink, we can easily drown in. There's so many issues with the world that we live in. We can burn to death or freeze to death, or in the same place that is designed to keep us alive. None of that makes any sense as a creation suitable for what it is. But that is a complete other discussion. There is just one more question.
It is valid, though. It's a valid critique, and I do encourage that kind of a critique. I think you should consider that there's a pre-fall world, and then there's also a pre-flood world. So things like different oxygen levels.
Yeah, that doesn't help me now, does it? That's the thing. If God was, if God is our creator, then he would create us to be good at all points, and the world to suit us and change to our needs, and it just seems pointless. Could God create a rock?
We are living in a time where we're far away in chronology. We're far away from the fall and the flood. We're actually close to the Bible predicts that a lot of mankind will choose wickedness and will choose evil. And so we are actually approaching Mystery Babylon. Society is, I should say.
But so then Bible doesn't know how many legs insects have, and that's another complete other discussion. Do you think God could create a rock that's too heavy for him to lift?
Yeah, he could. He could create a rock that is too heavy for him to lift.
So he's not almighty then.
Example, he will create a rock, and it's too heavy for him to lift. And then someone will say, so you're not able to lift that, you're not almighty. And then upon invoking that, he would then be able to lift the rock, and he could show his might of lifting that rock.
Well, then he can't create a rock that he can't lift because he could lift it.
Then once you invoke that, the rock would drop, and he would be then unable to move it. He could do all things. He's paradoxical. He can work in paradox.
Magic, right? Okay, cool. Right. So let's try and focus this on the shape of the Earth then. And if possible, try and avoid referencing the Bible and stuff, because I'd love to have that discussion with you, but let's maybe do that another time and try and focus this on the shape of the Earth. And I do just want to say hello to everyone watching and hello to all the new members. Thank you very much for being a part of my channel. Best way to help the channel is like and subscribe and share the channel. You can obviously support the channel with super chats alongside. Become a member if you want to join the nearly 2,000 that are already here. And let's have a nice discussion. So Nathan, why don't I give you, say, 5 minutes to give me what you would consider your best evidence of the shape of the Earth, or the stillness of the Earth, whatever particular thing you want to focus on.
Yeah, let me, I kind of put together a PowerPoint here, so I should be able to share my screen.
I might have to turn that on. Bear me 1 second.
Yes.
Goodness me, where is the host tool? Allow participants to share screen. Yes, there we go. Yep, you will be able to share the screen now.
Okay, nice. So share screen. If I just click this first one, that's like all. Okay, yeah, this look okay. So let's see. I should be able to go to here. So the Earth shape and its implications, and this is just a UN flag map, which is kind of, it's not an accurate exact model. The military has the raw GPS data, but this is just to get an idea, conception of a zetetic flat Earth, which has the heavens above us, the sky above us. And so the Earth shape and the implications. So first, we should just check in with what is science and its methodology. And this is a pretty good definition of science: the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the testing of theories against evidence obtained. By the way, science is a great thing. Regardless of your worldview, I happen to think science is a very intelligent process and God-given, but then this is just scientific method. All of these kind of infographics all kind of have some similar things here. We have questions, observations, hypotheses, and then we have experiments, which is a big thing, analysis and conclusion. And so observations, experience, and experiments. When we look out to the world, we experience a still ground, true up and down, seeing quite a long ways. And my thought is if you kind of woke up in a daze and didn't know anything, your first thing is you would feel motionlessness, and the Earth would appear flat. We make observations in nature that are explainable, demonstrable, repeated, and matching to controlled variable experiments that support a empirically flat Earth. And then the main academic model of a globe, the main academic model of the globe, so that discusses shape, and then as far as the motion portion, because both models are diametrically opposed in shape claim, in motion claim, and so the main academic model of the globe invokes relativity, which concedes directions of motion, detections of motion, as everything is taking place in an inertial reference frame by frame through time, and each frame produces a result where, according to relativity, a moving train and non-moving train cannot tell the difference. So that's what you have here. Basically, if you look at that train on the left side, this blue one here, this would be a motionless Earth with a moving sky on the right side. Or if you are on a globe, you say that you are on the red train, and this is the still train, and that this is the one that is actually moving. You can't tell because it's in an inertial reference frame. And this has a little bit to do with Albert Einstein and the Michelson-Morley experiment, and not being able to detect motion to the Earth from Earth because everything is moving as one, which makes it appear as a still result. There is a little bit of technicality here. I believe this is actually false, because you don't feel motion if you are moving constant and linear. You do feel motion if you are accelerating, because or if you are rotating, which is an acceleration, because you're turning, and so you're going off of the tangent. You want to go straight, but if you're turning, you're going off of that tangent, which is an accelerative motion, and we do feel acceleration, which is why the Michelson-Morley is a flat Earth a flat Earth evidence, support, empirical support. Claim distance, known distance backfiring. The globe claims to know precisely that the circumference of the equator is 24,901 miles. This means that we can use equations to calculate curve rate, and upon doing so, we have made observations that are not possible upon a geometric spheroid, even once one implements claimed variables such as refraction, as these variables have not been experimentally demonstrated to show they are capable of contributing to why we see too far for a globe to account for. And then the example that I commonly give is from Grotto 1 here. This is an observer height of under a foot, I think like 8 inches, and these lights are 5, 6, 7, and 8 miles away. They appear planar, and this gives us multiple data points to then plot on a Cartesian coordinate on an XY grid, and we see that they form a straight line, and so this would need to be accounted for. Here we have some windmill bases as well that form a straight line with but you knew shapes and you knew planarity and flatness and a line. You would intrinsically think this is a line, just like down here. So in good faith, a flat stationary Earth should not be immediately dismissed and insulted even, because science fears no investigation, has no intended narrative, and is without bias when humans do not inoculate such practices into the methodology. So science tries to remove bias and wants to just let the data and the results speak. And so we have some experts in the field who even say that out to 100 miles, which is about where most of us live our life, within 100-mile experiences. We're not doing any like 200-mile long construction projects with one unit being 200 miles long or anything like that. A lot of things happen in pieces within 100 miles. So basically everything practically it is showing that with out to 100 miles, it's challenging to show the Earth as a globe. And we have some documents even that use and assume for any reason a flat, non-rotating Earth. Especially ones like derivation and asymmetric damaged aircraft. Like if you're trying to land in an emergency situation with a damaged aircraft, you have to know the topography of what you're flying over, and a curved Earth is different topography and motion relation to the plane than a flat, non-rotating Earth. And then, so the thing that I was going to go into here, Craig, you had mentioned you wanted to keep it more empirical, and I'm fine with talking about some of the empirical things for sure, because it's important. But I think that this is one of the big things for people is the conspiracy. I think it's a big thing for people. We all are experiencing, like right now, if we're all here on this. We all feel like we're not moving. It feels still. So we're all experiencing stillness. They're called airplanes, yada, yada. So a lot of people will ask, how could they, in quotations, how could they lie? I have an uncle who's a mailman. Is he in on it too? And other things like that. And it's rational, I think, that people are like this, because who could believe... people who ask this probably can't believe that there's evil in the world, that they would lie so much to us and go through such lengths to deceive us, that there aren't really people out there that are wicked and would want to harm us. So when people hear things like there are liars out there, it's probably a little shaking to people. And I think that's good, that if you're like that, where you're like, aren't people that are that bad out there, that's rational. That's you're a good person, because you don't think those thoughts. You are a peaceful person. You go about your own business. You don't go after others or think about how to steal people's retirement funds or anything like that. Whatever activities that harm others for your own gain. So and we are inherently peaceful and dependent on others. So, sorry to burst the bliss bubble, but I want to believe you, and I really love the optimism that people have that say there's no way that there are bad people out there, and one day I think that's what it'll be, where it's just good people. But there are good people, but there are also some who are devious and nefarious, willing to harm others. And these are people of sin who act and promote for harm, for hurt, for suffering, and to catalyze tragic events. These people in power can do incredibly malicious things to the public, and any reason they have or give is not good enough to justify hurting someone else. There's never a reason to hurt somebody. For any reason to initiate violence. Self-defense is something else, and hopefully we never have to deal with that. And then
have you heard of the paradox? Interesting.
What's up?
Have you heard of the paradox of intolerance?
No.
Do you think you should be tolerant to the intolerant?
You should be tolerant to the intolerant.
Yeah. So let's say there's some people who want to remove all your rights and everything, be totalitarians, want to take away every bit of rights that you have. Do you think that you should tolerate them and be non-violent to them? Because let's assume that you are intolerant and non-violent to the people that want to take away the ability to have tolerance. Wouldn't that extinguish tolerance altogether? Isn't the only way to continue tolerance is to not allow the intolerant to exist? Doesn't that require violence?
Well, it doesn't have to. If these people are saying that they want to have a world where they rule and they take away our rights, and so we have to eat bugs and live in a 15-minute city or something like that, if that's what they are saying, and that we can only turn the air on at a certain time or use water every other day, if they're going to say those things, we have the ability to speak. We have a digital communication network.
Doesn't matter. They have big guns.
So then they are going to use them. They're going to
they want to take because if we don't stop them, because if we're tolerant of them, then they will wipe out the people that they don't like and create a world of intolerance. So violence isn't always good, but violence can be
different.
No. Should we stop them before they get to do the violent things by being violent? Yes, absolutely. The nonsense of there should never be violence is a thing that will allow evil to rule the world. The way to let evil win is for good men to do nothing. If you find people that are intolerant, you should do everything in your power to remove them. Intolerance is what will remove tolerance. We should never be tolerant of those that are intolerant. So I'm sorry, I will always disagree. I will always disagree with the claim that violence doesn't solve anything. That's wrong.
Well, initiating violence it's not ever reasonable to initiate violence.
Incorrect. Absolutely 100% incorrect. Sorry, but it's just a naive mentality that initiating violence is wrong. There is 100% situations where initiating violence will solve the problem and save lives and stop pain and suffering. There's nothing wrong with initiating violence to stop bad things.
Initiating violence.
But what if they haven't yet, but they plan to? And then you have to do it first. I'm sorry, but it's a very, very naive worldview to say that you shouldn't be violent, you shouldn't, never hit first, blah, blah, blah. No, that's just not how the world works. I'm sorry. But that it's something, I know it's aside from our conversation,
I can see how that
shouldn't.
Could be, but I think with the right mindset, we live in a time where it's completely preventative. I've never had to shoot somebody or attack somebody in my whole life, and I'm still here.
You're lucky because you live in America, right? The place where you have to wear bulletproof vests to go to school.
I mean, in the UK or in Europe, it's stabbings. It's people that are violent will want to be violent with anything that they can use to weaponize, and that I think has to do in part actually with naturalism, with the teaching that we are animals, that we have supremacy, that there's tribalism, that some are more or less fit than others, that what you have to do is climb to the top. We're only here according to evolution because the shrew and rat ancestors that we had 65 5 million years ago were able to track down the females and catch them and rape them. And I shouldn't. Sorry, I gotta watch my language there. But
anyway,
they were able
sorry,
to do
it's
that.
a bit of an aside. I just think it's very naive when people say that violence should never be the answer, because it's just not true. But anyway, back to flat Earth and the wow. I'm pretty sure that everything.
But that's.
Anyway.
It's a big component of it, though, because there are people who think that violence will always be, and that's worldview dependent. Are we here because our ancestors were the best hunters and were the best at getting getting females, female species of whatever kind of lesser animal we were, and now we're here? Or in the beginning, was it peaceful? Was there no death? And then we fell and brought that upon ourselves. That's one of the oppositions for whatever reason. Mainstream academic science, like what you learn in university, secondary schooling, what you learn is 180 degrees diametrically opposed to the Bible. The Bible says that the earth was before the sun. The schooling says the sun before the earth.
But to be fair, the Bible is just fan fiction from a previous religion, isn't it? So it doesn't. Christianity is just fan fiction of Judaism and same as Islam. Really, they're all just the same thing. So I mean, it's kind of irrelevant what's said in those books because they were written before in other books and everything. But that's not science. And anyway, let's stick to the evidence that you've just brought up, because I would love to go through it, because everything is very, very easily debunkable, right from your misunderstandings of relativity and what the actual Mike's and Morley experiment was, down to your, frankly, false statements about refraction and experimentation. You've started by mentioning about science, but then throughout your entire presentation, failed to get anywhere past the observation stage of science. Which is, very important.
I'm just trying to lay the groundwork here. I'm just like this. This is,
but you made a big thing about science and, what science is, but then pretty much only talked about observations like, well, it looks flat, and then you without wanting to be rude, just misunderstood a bunch of physics, misinterpreted results of experiments, and gave misinformation about what relativity is. And all of that was kind of irrelevant. And I want to stick with the very basic things. You said that we see too far, right? Which just isn't true, because refraction is a thing. And then you said that we can't verify that refraction does what we say. And you claimed that there's no experimentation on refraction. What I'm wearing is a testament to our knowledge of refraction and what it does. Refraction isn't
intelligent. I agree.
Refraction isn't a new thing. Refraction is something that's been quantified for hundreds of years, ever since the time of Newton.
Yes, I agree. So with refraction, so now and this is, well, I'll try to hold you to this one a little bit here with the four lights. Okay, the four lights experiment. So the claim is that.
Sorry.
So let's say you're going to say that refraction is going to be able to cause this phenomenon.
Yes.
And sure, there are
Absolutely.
refraction calculators, and you can slide numbers around on a computer.
Yeah.
But part of science is to be able to say, okay, I see this in nature, and I have to explain it from my worldview. And so I'm going to have to think of what the mechanism could be, what variable could be causing this that I'm seeing. And so this here, if you're going to claim refraction, what you would then have to do is take a known KNOWN, a known curved surface that would be the scale of what the globe claims.
No, you don't have to do it to scale.
Have to,
the claim that we have to do it to scale is irrelevant. As long as we can show that a curve can be seen over with refraction, the scale of it doesn't matter. If it can happen, then depending on the conditions, it can then happen. We know what happens with refraction, right? And we know if there's certain conditions, i.e. a certain temperature, a certain pressure, a certain density, the refraction will happen in a certain way. And we have demonstrated via experimentation that downward refraction lifts things up visibly for you to see. I just want to take you to a quick video.
Can I jump in here because we're covering that's? I agree. I agree that we have an understanding of refraction, what it does depending on the medium that it is in or going into, and how different substances, different temperatures can affect refraction. And maybe I'll actually pull this up real quick. If I go to, where would it be? Cosmology, maybe.
I mean, the fact that sometimes the observations are flat, look flat like that, and sometimes the observations half the wind turbines are missing, shows that there's a variable, right?
Yeah.
Because
so
what you're showing is one observation under very specific conditions, right? But I can.
Well, hold on. It's actually two observations.
It's two observations, right? Well, here's four. Here's four observations for you, all right? Here we go. Here's
what
four
I wanted
observations.
to go into real quick is so you what I was showing was there was an observation of the four lights experiment over over cold water, and then there was the observation of the windmills in a warmer condition. And so here this is actually the thing about refraction index is when we measure it.
Do you have but before you go on, do you have the numbers, what they were exactly?
For which numbers?
Well, you said that the first one was over cold water, and then you said the second one was over warmer conditions. So could I see the data, including the lapse rate at several points towards the observation, please? Because without without those actual data points, you're just saying things. And what you have to remember is that the water will always be colder than the air above it. And then the air will get warmer as it goes up, which means there's a lapse rate, right? That lapse rate will always...
Water holds on to heat very well.
Sorry, say again?
Yes, because water holds on to heat very well, so it changes its temperature.
Yeah, but the lapse rate is always going downwards. It's always going to make the light bend downwards and lift it up. But it will change slightly, which will always give us certain things, right? So I just want to show you a very simple video to show you that it can actually happen exactly as we say, right? Because all you're doing is you're saying things and you're going, well, I don't think this can happen. Even though we see it happening, I don't think it can happen. So could I just show you it happening?
Let me say this real quick before you start that video, because with why I showed those two examples is you have one that is clearly in cold conditions because it's a frozen lake, and then you have one that's in warmer conditions because the lake is aquatic, it's aqueous, it's liquid, and it's not frozen. And so why that is important is because this here, I did recently when I was in chemistry, I did a refraction lab, and this is part of what we were told is that, so when you're doing refraction, you have standard conditions, and most experiments, you have standard conditions. It's a certain temperature and certain pressure, and then our numbers of that we form our understanding on are based on those standard conditions. And so when we have temperatures that deviate from this 20 degrees Celsius, which is the standard temperature, we will have to make a correction. For every 1 degree over 20 degrees centigrade you have to add 0.0004 to your measurement. And anytime you go below 20, every 1 degree, you have to subtract that. So if you are adding or subtracting, if this is the true, if straight on is the true path of the light, and you are going to add to the refractive index, you're going to go up. If you're going to subtract, you're going to go down. So we see too far in both conditions where light is going up one way and down the other, and we still are able to see too far because the atmosphere provides a clear enough environment.
But Nathan, hold on, Nathan. All you're doing is you're saying we see too far without the data to support that. You can't just say we see too far without then actually giving me the variables of that experiment. Because I guarantee you that if we put it into a refraction calculator, which is programmed using the known physics of refraction, with the data of those observations, there would be no problem. But the thing is, you don't have the data. You're just saying, well, it should be too far. But you don't know that because you don't have anything to back it up. You can't just say, well, you can see the... No, hold on. No, let me, right? You can't just say a thing without then providing the evidence to support it. We don't know the conditions at every point along each of those observations to be able to show what the refraction would actually do. All you've done is you said, well, I've got some assumptions about this picture without any, actual data, and therefore I think the refraction is wrong. But that's not how this works. The fact is, refraction can bring things up from behind the curve. It can happen. And I'm going to show it happening now, right? Just because it's so simple to demonstrate. Right? So this is someone's driveway, right? And this is the horizon that you see here. It's a curved driveway, and they've got this thing over behind it, all right? And they pour some water. Right, in fact, it explains it as it goes along. Seeing over the curve of my driveway. Here's the horizon, which is obviously the curve where you can't see any further. So you can't see that part of the clip. And he's going to pour some cold water onto the driveway, which is obviously going to change the refractive conditions. And the water runs down towards the items that he's got, changing the refractive conditions of the air. And as you see, it brings the things that we couldn't see before up over the curve. That's what's happening, okay? Now, I don't have the exact data, but the point is, this is showing that refraction can bring things back over the curve that are hidden by the curve, right? So without data, no, it's not. It's exactly the same. Without data to back up your claim of, well, this shouldn't happen with refraction, it's just a claim. Because I've just shown you refraction causing things to come up from behind a curve. So unless you've got...
Yeah, but you were also showing what he was doing there.
But unless you've got all of the data to back up your claim, it doesn't matter because your claim is just that. It's just a claim with no evidence. That doesn't mean anything. I've said this to flat earthers all of the time. You cannot just present an observation.
Because you caught yourself on it because you did say that you don't have the data for that video.
But the point is, that's irrelevant. The point is, refraction brings things up over a curve.
It shows concept. Right? It's showing the concept that refraction can cause things that are behind a curve to be brought up and be visible.
There we go. So it happens, right? So and you're showing wind farms, but here's wind farms, right? Here is 4 different wind farms that are clearly hidden behind the curve of the Earth. So the fact that sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like your observation shows that there is a variable. Luckily, the variable is refraction, something that we have quantified for hundreds of years. And if we have the data, we can do the calculations and show exactly what would happen. But without the data, the conversation is irrelevant, because we both know that refraction can do this thing. So unless an observation you present comes with data, it doesn't matter. Because refraction can do what we say it does.
Okay, so I wanna just quickly say, so because I'm all for us having standards that we're trying to set here. So
can I just 1 second? I just need to quickly reply to someone in the chat, because they clearly don't understand it. Something to say all the time. Norman Cross. So optical, not physical horizon then. Norman, we've gone through this several times. You can't have a optical thing without a physical thing for it to come off of. That's how seeing works. Optical is still physical. Apparent means that there's an actual position that it is changing from. Apparently.
It is optically,
so the question is stupid.
Is optically transforming to apparent.
Yes. See, he understands it, and he's also a flat earther. Norman, why can't you? It's possible that your mother gave you fetal alcohol syndrome, and that's why.
Hey! Now we don't gotta talk like that.
Oh no, this is Norman Cross. He's a dumbass. Don't worry. He gives flat earthers a bad name by how stupid he is.
It's finding a way to explain it so it's understood that you can have something that is geometric, and then we see optically because we have conditions that affect what we see visually. And so there is a transformation that happens where everything has an apparent view, how it looks in apparent. It has an apparent size. It has an apparent shape.
Everything's apparent because I'm wearing glasses that are changing everything that comes into my eyes. And you know what? Even
Yeah.
our eyes change it, Norman. Even our eyes change what we see because our eyes also refract things. And in fact, our eyes flip everything 180 degrees. Everything we see is upside down, but luckily our brain interprets it. Maybe not yours.
So what I want to go, well, let me, I think I should be able to get this out in like 2 minutes here. So with the example you show with the driveway, so it shows the concept that if you have certain conditions present, you can cause yourself to be able to see behind what is typically what should be considered like occulted or hidden. And I would say in comparison to the examples that I gave of the 4 lights from Grow to 1 or the windmills, he added kind of a whole other medium there, but that's fine. And so with proof of concept, and it's like I don't have the lapse rate for what I was showing with those still images. You don't have the lapse rate for the driveway or anything like that. And then I was gonna show. Let's see if I make this smaller somehow. Oh, I have to drag it. So if I make this small now, like what I'll show. So now it's about. One of the things between trying to figure out what the shape of the earth is or how cosmology is we're trying to establish concepts. We're trying to see what is substantiated and what can actually, like, if we observe something in reality, a worldview has to be able to explain that with a mechanism that doesn't have contradiction elsewhere. That you would have
the
to
globe
change elsewhere to
100%,
explain
yeah.
something else.
And absolutely, the globe 100% explains every mechanism with 0 contradictions. And if you claim otherwise, the problem is, respectfully, your understanding of those mechanisms.
I'll get back to that. But so what I want to show for proof of concept, because being able to see something bottom up is readily explainable by a globe, because even just using a geometric horizon, you could explain something being cut off bottom up. So then a planar Earth would have to say, or a biblical Earth would have to explain that observation. And so what the biblical Earth can do is show, using the same experimental recreation, to just establish what's proof of concept, that the concept is empirically valid or sound.
Sorry, Nathan,
and so
with all due respect, why is half of the camera lens under the surface of the table there?
This is on a floor.
Okay, so do we have evidence that the floor is completely flat?
I mean, I could ask if that driveway was completely curved.
Well, there was a curve. That's the thing. But if you just before you go on, you have made the very specific claim that this is a representation of something that happens on a planar surface. So to back that up, yes, can we please have evidence that this is in fact a completely flat planar surface? That's very, very important.
Yeah, I do think that carpenters know what they're doing when they're building and constructing and making houses.
Well, again, you're just making an assumption. My house, right? Let me show you my house, because this was made by carpenters, right? You know, carpenters definitely came in here and did something, right? That TV, I put it up and it's completely level. The ceiling is not. If you look, right, one side on the left is closer to the ceiling than the other. That TV is 100% level. I know it is. The ceiling isn't. That bar isn't. Every single door in this house isn't. The floor is definitely not flat. Things roll. In my kitchen, things move to the left, towards the back door when I put them on the floor. People that know how to do their job still did that, but without evidence that the thing is 100% flat, I can't just take your word from it, because not every workman does 100% good job every time. So before you continue your observation, I do need evidence it's a plane.
How about so even if there was a slight amount of pitch to the floor that caused it to have a little bit closer to what would be globe resembling, it's in the example before the conditions are changed. It's clearly not enough. Observably, it's not enough to hide anything. So the result is still the same, showing
again that's just an assumption, because if there's any curve at all, it completely removes your claim of this is how it would act on a planar surface, right?
Well,
the slightest bump.
It's no, because it shows the concept that you could see something,
Well,
but
no,
then if
because
you
the concept-
introduce temperature inversion, you are going to now hide the bottom of that, building.
Well, yeah, that's called
distance is gonna
refraction.
be-
Yeah, we're both agreeing that refraction, even if the surface was planar, refraction could move things, right? But refraction would act very
Yes.
differently to as it does on the globe Earth. And you should actually check out the works of Andrew Thomas Young, the world's leading expert in refraction, who actually did the calculations of what refraction would do on a flat Earth. But the point is, the video you are showing started with the claim of this is how it would work on a planar Earth. But you can't give me any evidence that that is completely flat. Even assuming you had the best carpenter in the world that took the most care of his job and made sure that was 100% flat, well, who's to say that over the years since then it hasn't warped and changed? Because nothing stays exactly as it is, especially wood, right? So
True.
what you're doing is you are
for intents and purposes,
both.
it's flat enough.
No, we can't.
To
That's
demonstrate
not. No, that
concept.
doesn't work. We can't say it's flat enough, because that would mean that there could be a curve, and any slight curve invalidates your claim. We have to know. We have to know it's 100%
validate the claim of technical planarity, like absolute perfect planarity would be invalidated by any slight amount of curve.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Any slight amount of curve is not enough to start the observation with something already being hidden and then being more hidden. What this experiment
That's
shows,
lovely. That's a claim again. What you're doing is
something
you're making
visible
claims
and then be hidden without changing the flooring, but by changing
Well,
the atmosphere we're
we
looking
both
through.
agree that refraction's a thing. I've just shown you that on a curved surface, refraction can bring things up. And yes, on a flat surface, it can also change things. But I know that mine was curved because you couldn't see it, whereas we don't know that yours is flat. So we don't have any evidence
It's
of your
flat
example.
enough to see what we're looking at.
No. Sorry, Nathan. I'm sorry, but it's flat enough isn't how science works. That we wouldn't just say,
but
it's
science
flat
isn't
enough.
always. If you're going to do an experiment in a lab, you could measure out, like with refractive index, it goes out 4 decimal places to the right side. That's fairly precise. But now
again,
you could say, well,
you can't
that's not precise enough for me. I want something that's out to 9 decimal places. Like you could always push it further back. So there has to be. You're not always in the most precise amounts of graduation for your measurement. You can be like more crude and have it be work enough to establish concept.
It doesn't, though, because it doesn't establish the concept of this is how it would work on a planet Earth unless it's planar. We don't know that's planar. Plus, we both understand that refraction can change the apparent position of things. So this is irrelevant. I agree that if the Earth was flat, refraction would still be a thing because of our atmosphere. 100%, it would.
Do you agree that if the Earth is flat, we could account for bottom-up appearance of bottom-up disappearance?
No, refraction, unless there were severe temperature inversions, like you get in the North or South Pole, that kind of wouldn't be the norm of what you would expect to see. If the Earth was flat, hold on, let me finish. If the Earth was flat, the norm would still be things being lifted up slightly more because of the way refraction works. That would be the norm, right? To see things disappearing bottom up would be the exception if the Earth was flat. And again, this is based on the physics of refraction, and you can check out the works of Andrew Thomas Young to check the maths and everything if you like. But Nathan, to be clear, all you've done so far is you've showed some pictures and said a lot of what-ifs without any data to back up your claims, right? Whereas what I did was I showed empirically that a curve can be there and we can see further than the curve could show. And that disproves your claim of we see too far, because we don't. Refraction exists, and if you have the data, we can show that refraction does the things that we say it does. And without the data, you can't really argue your case.
Now, I do want to point out, without data, I can't argue my case, but you also didn't have the lapse rate for that driveway experiment. So, but
I agree with that.
I'm still considering what you're saying and taking it as what it is showing. I agree that there are things you can do to, bring up and allow us to see things that are hidden by physical things.
And that is the norm.
Now, would you
which is
agree
the
that there are, like, in the in the air, there are
atmosphere?
other
You can say
things
it's all right,
other than
Nathan. You can say
refraction that
atmosphere.
will affect how we see? like magnification is a thing, right?
Magnification is a form of refraction.
So okay, so magnification.
The atmosphere doesn't
can
really
also-
magnify things like a normal lens, because it's thicker at the bottom and less as it goes up, and that's not how, like my glasses, for example. They're kind of thicker towards the middle instead of the edges, and it's a regular thing. But the atmosphere is thicker, and as it goes up, it gets less and less and less. That wouldn't magnify things in the way that we expect things to be magnified. And this was shown when the debunk of Rob Skiba's video was made.
Atmosphere, therefore, the most magnification.
No, because that's not. You don't just get more magnification with a thicker thing. You need it to be rounded in a certain way for the magnification to actually take an effect. The atmosphere does not have the ability to.
Hold on. Vapor is magnifying.
Well, that's because a water droplet looks more like a lens in its shape, but a bunch of water droplets aren't going to do the same thing as a single water droplet. To say that the atmosphere magnifies things far in the distance is just a false thing with no evidence to back it up. Yes, atmosphere causes things to change.
You might even, if you pull up that windmill example from WS, you might even be able to see that. I mean, sometimes there are examples given by globe advocates that show a windmill that has an enormous head and propulsion system, and it's clearly magnified, and that's over water, and that's because
well, you're saying that it's clearly again, you're just saying it's clearly magnified. Everything, like Nathan, I don't want to be rude, but everything you're saying is just, well, what if this? That's a claim, here's this, without anything to back it up, right? I don't need a figure to back up my claim, because my claim is very simple. My claim is refraction can cause things to be lifted up over a curve, right? I don't need numbers to demonstrate that to be true. Right, we've all seen that is. Hold on, let me finish my point, please. Right, we've all seen that my claim is true. Right, my claim is very, very simple and doesn't require numbers. My claim is that refraction can lift things up from behind a curve, so you can see them, and I've demonstrated that to be a case. But your claim is that the Earth is flat and the refraction isn't working the way that we expect it to, but you don't have any data to back that up.
So will you agree that you've shown something on a curved surface, and we'll just if we just, for sake of discussion, if we consider that this floor is relatively flat enough?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't accept that
potential concept.
No, I unless I can see how flat it is, then I can't accept that. You need something to I showed you there's a curve. I don't need to show you how much of a curve. It's simple. There's a curve. Your claim is it's flat. That needs to be backed up, right?
So this one here is on a floor, but what do you think about people that do it on a table?
But they usually hide half of the camera below the half of the camera lens below the table, so that only the top half is actually seeing stuff. So the entire lens can't see what's happening. That's called cheating. Yeah.
That is, but there are also others who do.
There's not, and when I did it, and I actually showed that things moving back on the table will still say, they don't fall below, say, the line of what you would expect. They always stay, it shows that they go back but don't set and disappear at the bottom or the top. Unless you have data to back up these claims, the best thing to do is to move on to something else, because we're just going to go round in circles. And I don't have anything to analyze. The fact is, we know refraction can change the apparent position of things. Without data to analyze, the conversation is completely pointless.
So, okay, so then what? So what about because you're gonna if you claim refraction is going to be able to cause us to it's going to be able to explain what we see when we look over water. So why is it that when we are in colder temperatures, where refraction behaves differently than in warmer temperatures, why have we made observations that are geometrically too far in cold conditions and in hot conditions?
Because refraction still happens in both cold and hot, and just the change of temperature. Hold on, let me answer the question. It doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. Refraction still lifts things up above a curve, right? And the temperature itself isn't important. What's important is the lapse rate, right? The difference in temperature as you rise up. That's the important thing. And you can have a warm temperature with a lapse rate, and you can have a cold temperature with a lapse rate, and it's still going to make refraction do the same thing, and that is bend over the curve and lift things up. And again, what we're doing is we're going round in circles, okay? And it's pointless. Without data to analyze, we've both agreed refraction can change the apparent position of things. Therefore, the claim we see too far is bunk unless there's data to back it up, right? Can we just agree that and move on to the next point?
I mean, because like my question is then, okay, say we have an object that we're looking at, and say that for us to be able to see the fullness of the object out at some distance, there has to be a refractive index of like 1.772, and say 1.1772. Say that's the refractive index for us to be able to see this object. Now, say it's in a hot condition, and we have to add to our refractive index, so we're able to see this object. Because when you add to the 0.1772, you would go to 1776, then 1780, 1784. You would add to that refractive index, you'd be able to see it. Then how do we also see too far if the minimum to be able to see that object is 1.1772, and then when we go into cold temperatures we have to subtract from the refractive index? Now we're down to
not how that works.
1.1768.
Again, you don't subtract from the refractive index because of the temperature. The refractive index is, well, the best way to you need to you can't really use Snell's law.
I showed that paper from my lab, right?
Yeah, but you can't really use Snell's law in something like the atmosphere. You need to use Fermat's principle instead of Snell's law because of the so many small changes, and that's important to know the lapse rate to do it. And you're just saying things, right? Without the data to back up anything that you're saying, you're just going, oh well, this could be the case, this could be the case, this could be the case. I don't think that's right. But you don't have anything to back it up, so it's a pointless conversation. I don't deal in what ifs. I like to look at evidence, and you don't have any. You've just got what ifs.
Well, these are I'm showing observations, and so I guess
observations that can be explained by refraction. Yeah.
Would you be able to show me? Would you be able to show me in an experiment using whatever you want to add refraction into the experiment as a controlled variable or anything like that, magnification? Would you be able to show me from a perspective point of view, not orthogonal, but from perspective, would you be able to show me things out at a distance that are on a known curve to be brought up to appear visually flat? Like, do we agree that those four lights appear flat?
It absolutely can happen in the right refractive conditions.
Can you show those conditions, or is it an unrealistic, unnatural amount of refraction that would be required to get those?
It's not the norm, is what we say, right? Because these observations are not the norm. Showing the turbines like that are not. No, it's not. No, hold on. No, it's not the norm, right? I was in the military. I was at sea. Hold on, give me. No, but natural doesn't mean the norm, right? The norm is what we normally see.
You're going to recreate I was in results in an experiment.
Hold on.
Dude,
can you let me finish a sentence? Now, again, the norm is not seeing it flat like that. The normal observation is seeing the bottoms of turbines disappeared, right? I was a wind farm developer for Enertrack UK, and I was a sailor in the Royal Navy. The amount of observations I've made at sea are... I appreciate that. The amount of observations I've made at sea
of both...
thank you, I appreciate it. But the amount of observations that I've made both at sea and of wind turbines are, I couldn't even count. And the norm is that things disappear bottom up, right? When I got to the South Pole, when I was in the Antarctic Circle, everything looked a lot more flat than I was used to. It was very weird. All right, we could actually see a lot further than I was used to in those particular conditions. And it made things seem quite strange, but there was just different refractive conditions. It happens. Sometimes it's not like that, sometimes it is. The fact is, refraction can bring things up from behind the curve. And if that can happen, then the globe Earth can exist, and there's no evidence that we can see too far.
So it can explain those observations. So what I would ask would be, if you have these multiple observation points, we're looking out at these light sources, and then we are going to see that they form what appears to be a line. That means that nature every once in a while provides conditions
Yes.
that allow us to see what appears like a line, what appears flat, what appears horizontal.
Yeah,
planar.
every now and then, absolutely, that can happen. There's no problem with that sometimes being the case if the refractive conditions are correct. But sometimes seeing it flat is not the same as the Earth being flat. The fact is that most of the time we see most of the things that with the bottoms missing goes against the concept of the Earth being flat, right? So
yes,
let's put a pin in that because
can't explain the bottom up disappearance as been shown. But now
what
I would ask is so there has to be a certain amount of refraction and lapse rate combination along with magnification and other atmospheric conditions that compound to cause this visual effect that we see. There has to be natural conditions that cause a sometimes appearance of planarity of what would be looking
we
like
just
a
said
flat
that.
Earth.
We just said that. Yeah.
So now if
Why
we take that and put it into an experiment, now we have to be able to use these conditions that are in the atmosphere, and we have to be able to show that this known curved surface, when we apply our variables that we're claiming explain why this is.
I showed you it done in the atmosphere.
Even though it's a globe. So so where is the observation of the experiment that shows the data that shows that a curved surface can appear flat? I'd like to see, because if I could see that, I can stop showing this example. I've never had in all the comments and everything. I've never had a person who defends the globe.
What we need is an observation with the data backed up. You know, if someone gives us an observation and the data, then we can analyze it. But no one has ever given us the data. Right? The fact is we know refraction can do the things. We've got hundreds of years of a quantification of refraction. If you go to Midwest Refraction Calculator, it can even show you exactly what the rays of light will do based on the refractive conditions, because it's not something that is not known. It's not like we're just all of a sudden discovering refraction. We know exactly what...
Experts in refraction, they do say it's difficult for us to carry out experiments because getting realistic refraction into like a lab setting is it can be more
because
difficult.
you can't recreate the Earth in a lab, because that's not how it works. Right, but anyway, the point is refraction's a thing, brings things up over a curve, no evidence we can see too far. Okay, I'd like to move on to the next thing. I just want to briefly touch on the Michelson-Morley experiment, because you seem to have a very big misunderstanding of what it actually was. So the Michelson-Morley experiment wasn't anything to do with Earth's movement. You know, the Michelson-Morley's experiment was to do with if there was aether that could be measured as the Earth moved through the aether. Not just for Earth's movement. It was specifically set up to measure if there was aether, right? And then they designed something that they would put perpendicular and horizontal to the Earth's motion around the sun, because they knew the Earth was moving. That was one of the things in the experiment. And based on whether the apparatus was horizontal or perpendicular to Earth's movement would mean that if there was an aether, the drag of the Earth going through the aether would change the speed of the light based on the position of the apparatus. What they found was there was no difference. It didn't matter where the apparatus was or where the Earth was in its orbit. The speed of light remained constant, right? And that all that did was remove aether from science. It never suggested that the Earth doesn't move. You know, the actual paper itself, comes to the conclusion that, well, either the aether is stationary or moving. Either the aether is moving with us, which is ridiculous, or the aether doesn't exist. So the Michelson-Morley, when you guys talk about the Michelson-Morley experiment, you need to actually talk about what it really was, and that was to try and test for the aether, which they couldn't find.
So I do agree that there could be, because once the result is carried out for the Michelson-Morley, you make the observation of what the results are. Your worldview has to be able to accommodate those results because they are empirical. And so there might have been certain claims of various types of ether that do get falsified by such a result.
Well, the luminiferous ether is the specific one that they were talking about with that experiment, right? If we're talking about Michelson-Morley experiment, we don't need to talk about any other kind of ether, because they were specifically looking for the luminiferous ether. The hypothetical medium it was the hypothetical medium that allowed light to propagate through space. They thought that everything else has a wave, so light and goes through stuff, so light must as well. So they thought it was the aether. They looked for the aether, they couldn't find it. More experiments like the Mugson-Gale experiment in Sagnac and everything, they all backed up the results of the Mugson-Morley experiment and more disproved the notion of aether, which helped Einstein come to his conclusion of relativity, right? And it's not to do with a worldview, it was a scientific principle that was disproved, and that's it.
So couldn't he have couldn't the experiment have falsified certain kinds of ether, like say a moving ether that moves with the Earth, or a certain type of still ether
the result, right. So but if there was
you're not going to
ether,
blanket falsify every ether.
But again, that's not what the experiment. The experiment was specifically about the luminiferous ether, right, which was falsified.
So there,
but any other type of ether could also work within the framework of relativity from what we understood. They even kind of say sometimes that relativity is a kind of ether. But the point is we're talking about the luminiferous ether.
Fabric.
Yeah, we're talking about the luminiferous ether, which was what they thought was what the universe was made of. That was disproven, right? And if you bring up the Mugson-Morley experiment, that's what you need to say. Otherwise, you're just giving false information, right? That's not really for debate. I just wanted to educate you a bit on that. And then you kind of misunderstood relativity by saying we can't measure movement with relativity, but we really can. And I would like to refer to the illustrious
Can we
Bob,
real quick
Bob
just to stick to the MMX real quick? We can just acknowledge that they did say in their paper that they got a result about 1/20th to 1/40th.
Yeah, that was called the margin of error.
Moving Earth would produce.
The experiment apparatus had a margin of error, and that was within the margin of error. So that's irrelevant.
Well, they said it was easily sensitive enough to be able to detect.
No.
Again, light is
whatever sensitivity they had, what they measured was within the margin of error. Do you understand what that means?
It was within their margin of error, but the result that they got with that precise of an apparatus.
Well, no, but that's what margin of error means. Margin of error means it's outside of the apparatus. No, again. Hold on. No, again. The margin of error means it's outside of the precision of the apparatus, right? It cannot tell if there's any difference between that margin of error. That's the point of a margin of error. And what they would have expected was there to be a phase difference in the light because of the difference in the speed of light due to the aether. But there wasn't any difference apart from that tiny amount that was within the margin of error of the machine, because the machine was not precise enough to measure anything less than that. Later experiments like the Mugson-Gale and then further experiments after that were a lot more precise and showed that there was actually zero.
In their paper, though, they did say that they had an apparatus able to detect the motion of the Earth. They were only a 30th.
No, they didn't. Dude, they didn't have an apparatus capable of detecting the motion of the Earth. The apparatus was to detect the difference in the speed of light due to the aether. We just went through that. The experiment was not about detecting of the motion of Earth. That's not what their apparatus. No, it wouldn't. That's
light moved.
No. That's not what it was showing. It was showing how the light would be different based on the direction of the apparatus compared to Earth's motion through around the sun, right? It was nothing to do with measuring. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish, please. Right? This isn't a interpretation. This is what the experiment came to the conclusion of, and that was there is no aether. The only measurement they got was within the margin of error of the machine of measuring a phase difference because of the aether. The aether didn't exist. That's what the conclusion of it was. The experiment was not about measuring the motion of the Earth. That wasn't under investigation. They knew the Earth moved. They knew how fast the Earth moved. What the investigation was, what the experiment was to test the difference in the speed of light because of the aether. Right?
So they knew that the Earth was moving, and that is why they said in their paper that they were going to be able to detect the 30 kilometers per second of the Earth motion.
They didn't say that they could collect. Hold on, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Hold on, you're wrong. You're wrong. They didn't say they could detect the 30 kilometers per second of the Earth because the paper was not about measuring the motion of the Earth. I keep saying this and you keep then repeating the same thing. You clearly actually haven't read the paper. The paper was not about the measuring the speed of the Earth. There was no way that the apparatus could measure the speed of the Earth. It wasn't capable of that. It wasn't designed for doing that. That's not what it was. It was to measure the difference in the speed of light due to aether coming in perpendicularly or horizontally from the, as the Earth rotated around the Earth, the sun. That was it, right? It wasn't about measuring the speed of the Earth. They knew the speed of the Earth. That wasn't what it was. It was simply about measuring if there was aether.
Of the Earth. That is why they were trying to. That's why they were able to say, "Hey, we should detect this 30 kilometers a second."
No, but okay, you're not listening. They were not measuring the speed of the Earth. Their apparatus was not capable of detecting the speed of the Earth. There is no way they could pick up the 30 kilometers per second of the Earth. That's not what the apparatus was designed for. You keep repeating the same thing. Yeah, I've tried to impart this knowledge onto you, Nathan, and you just keep ignoring me and repeating the same thing. The Microsoft Morning experiment was about measuring the difference in the speed of light due to the aether. That was it. Not about how fast the Earth moved. And I've got physicists in my chat agreeing with me, just so you know.
So I pulled it up. If assuming this is the correct thing here on my screen, it says on the relative motion of the Earth and the luminiferous ether. So it's about the motion of the Earth and the ether.
Again, no. The relative motion of the Earth and the ether, as in what the motion of the Earth will do as it's going through the ether. It wasn't about measuring the speed of the Earth. There was nothing about the apparatus that could measure the speed of the Earth. Right? I've explained it to you.
Light is not sensitive enough to measure the Earth?
There is nothing. Their apparatus wasn't designed to do that. Nathan, I don't know how many more times I can say the same thing to you, right? They measured the speed of light coming into the apparatus whilst traveling. They had the apparatus horizontal to Earth's motion, and then they had the apparatus perpendicular to Earth's motion. Based on the Earth going through the aether, that would change the speed of light coming in so that they could measure the difference in it. It was not about measuring how fast the Earth was going. There was nothing that they had that could measure that. That's like saying, oh, go and get a set of scales from your kitchen and tell me how fast the car's going. It wasn't designed to do that thing, which is why you seem to have this completely wrong idea about the MMX and what it was designed for, because you listen to other flat earthers instead of actual physicists and scientists.
Well, do you want to? We could read this paper right now. I mean, it's.
I've read it several times. I don't need to read it. The paper was not about measuring the speed of the Earth. Okay.
Well, doesn't it say down here about how there was a discrepancy between what they had expected and how they only got like 1/5 or 1/6 of what they were looking for?
Oh my God!
In their result?
Dude, I literally just went through that with you. Again. What they measured was a difference in the phase coherence, right? But that difference that they measured was within the margin of error of the machine. They expected a massive difference that would explain the Earth going through the aether, but they only got this tiny, tiny, tiny difference, which was within the margin of error of the machine, right? And again, I don't want to have to repeat myself again, because I have now said these words to you about 10 times.
So, okay, then I think it's probably on my comprehension and trying to understand you here, because the way that I have heard this experiment phrased or
by other flat earthers
is that
that's the problem. You probably listen to Witsit, who doesn't understand anything about it.
I would first go off the primary. What's reported in the journal would be my primary go-to, and then people's interpretations I'm willing to listen to. But you've
said a different thing about what it is, though. That's the thing. I would severely suggest you... right, so actually, I brought on an expert in this and relativity and had a good conversation with him about it. I'll send you the link to the video where he actually talks through about exactly what it was. Instead of trying to read it yourself, and because with all due respect, Nathan, it's not made for the layman. It's not made for you to understand because you've never studied physics and science. So you reading the paper with all due respect, is going to be pointless because you will not understand what's in that paper, right? So go and listen
Maybe
to an
certain
expert
math equations.
No, not just that, but in general, the way that they speak, the nomenclature, the general concepts, they're not set up for a layman to understand. And again, with all due respect, you are not someone that studied physics.
Not yet. I'm trying to go for physics. That's going to be starting this semester. I'll be for physics instead of nutrition because, that gets into some other stuff.
If you study physics and you pass, there's no way you can be a flat earther.
What's that?
If you study physics and you pass, there's no way you can be a flat earther because they're incompatible. Right? I have a degree in physics. I have a degree of physics, a first with honours. During that degree, I measured the Earth's rotation and I measured gravity. There's no way the Earth can be flat. And there is not a single person on Earth who has a degree or higher in physics that thinks the Earth is flat.
So you could have measured the rotation of the ether, which is 15 degrees.
No, there's no ether. That was removed by the Maximoni experiment.
Okay, but that didn't remove all the ethers. It might have removed some concepts.
It removed
of ether, but not all
any
of them.
kind of ether that would have an effect. Plus, there's no evidence of an ether. That's just a what if, a possibility. And what I did was based on the physical properties. It's a logical framework. That's not a thing. It's what I did was an experiment based on the physical properties of being on a rotating ball, right? And the fact that, well, we can talk through the experiment and how it disproves a rotating ether at 15 degrees per hour. But I would suggest maybe learning about the experiments you tried to cite, because you're just wrong about them, right? And one thing you said was there's no way relativity can measure motion.
Why did he introduce the contraction of matter?
Because that's what it explains what happens. Because that's why you would see from your perspective.
That's what gave him the phase shift?
Yeah, you would see from one perspective, if you were, like, say you're the sun and you're looking at the Earth going round, you would measure the Earth being shorter than it actually is, or longer than it actually is, based on the fact that it's moving, right, relative to you. Because that's
if we were able to be the sun.
If we were able to be the sun and make a measurement on the Earth at the same time, we would measure length and time being different on the Earth than we would for our reference frame. And that is something that's been conclusively proven with experiments like muon detection and particle accelerators and GPS and everything. You know, the fact that length contraction and time contraction happens is experimentally proven. And it's not even something that should be up for debate, because you and I are communicating now thanks to that, because I use satellites in space for my internet.
Yeah, and I do agree that there is. It takes time for a signal to get sent from one thing to another, and then received by wherever that signal is getting sent off to. And if that thing is moving, it's going to take longer because it has to account for the gap of where it was sent when it released, where the object was, and where it moved to by the time it receives it. So there are plus and minus values for C and velocity. So,
but anyway, you said that we can't measure movement with relativity, and that is very, very wrong. And I'm going to refer to the expert in this case, the illustrious, rest in peace, Bob Nadell.
If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift.
How much drift, Bob?
A 15 degree per hour drift.
Now, the important thing about that is, all right, Bob, shush. The important thing about that is that it matches the predictions of the globe, right? That's what we expect to happen.
I don't disagree that an optical gyroscope that uses light can detect the 15 degree per hour drift of the ether that carries light through it.
There's no evidence of an aether, so we can't talk about what you're saying is aether, but there's no evidence of an aether, right? And just before you go on, I want to carry on what I'm talking about, because it's not just optical gyroscopes that do it. Once they did this, and Netflix made them look like a fool, they hired a flat earther called Stephen P, who was an engineer, and he built from scratch a mechanical gyroscope. An amazing bit of engineering. In fact, let's have a look at it. Here it is. So he built this, and it's mechanical. It's not using light. And what they found with this is that it did exactly the same thing as the optical gyroscope. It measured the rotation of the Earth. No matter what orientation they put it in, no matter what axis they let it spin in, no matter what happened, every single time, it measured the rotation of the Earth. The flat earthers tried to hide this. They tried to sue Stephen P. Luckily, we downloaded the video before it went away. And that shows that it's not just optical gyroscopes. It's mechanical gyroscopes, right? And here's the even more interesting thing. It's not just 15 degrees per hour that gets measured. If we go to where is he?
Hold on, can you go back to that real quick?
Yeah.
It was he got 1.2 degrees in 8 minutes.
Yeah, he's got it going in different orientations and facing different ways based on the speed that it's spinning. I can send you the whole video where he does the maths of exactly why he's doing each different experiment, and it all works out to be what we expect from the globe.
Because it looks like if you go off of the numbers that were shown there at the end, if you in 8 minutes, it looks like he should have gotten like that looks closer too. Although those look like different numbers. Yeah, it says calculated Earth drift rate's 11.2, but then he got closer to like 9.
In 2 minutes, because of the latitude that he's at. Because it's not going to be 15 degrees per hour.
To get 11.2 per hour. Yeah. 11.2 degrees per hour, and he
so
got around
within
9.
Yeah, and that's within the margin of error of the machine. Again.
Okay.
Right. But it showed that the Earth rotates, and it measures that the Earth rotates as we expect. And no matter which orientation you put it in, which axis you let it rotate on, it always did the same thing. And then we can go to a guy like this, called the Gentleman Physicist, who uses a pendulum, which is the experiment that I did, right? Where he simply lets the pendulum swing for a certain amount of time and then measures the drift on it, right? And the great thing about this is that because of your latitude on Earth, it will move a different amount. It will drift a different amount over time. And you can actually use the drift of this to calculate your latitude on Earth, which I did in university to calculate my latitude in Bristol. And the fact that this experiment will get a different result based on wherever you are on the Earth disproves the notion of a 15-degree rotating aether of any kind, and there is no evidence that an aether could impart a physical property anyway. So what the 3 experiments I've shown you, this, and good old Bobby Boy, all 3 of them match the predictions of a globe Earth rotating. All 3 of them, all 3 different types of measurements. So I can present you
15 degrees per hour. That is explainable with an ether that rotates at 15 degrees per hour.
Again, you would have to. Again, you are just saying a thing. There is no evidence of an aether, or that an aether could impart a physical property of any kind. Right? We're not going to talk about some hypothetical, possibly, maybe, without any evidence to back up. We both agreed at the beginning of this we would focus on science. Yeah, but there's no evidence of it. It doesn't exist. You can't invoke something that has no evidence that it is a thing. There's no framework of an aether that exists at the moment that would impart a physical property onto something. It's just a thing that you're saying. Oh, well, it could be an aether. Well, show me the aether then. Show me an experiment that shows the aether is a real thing. There isn't any, but every single experiment, the 3 experiments I've shown you, including the ones that don't rotate at 15 degrees per hour, they change based on the latitude, match the predictions of the globe. So there we go. There's 3 different evidence for the rotation of the Earth.
So pendulums, so Einstein would have known about pendulums. Why did he say that no terrestrial experiments from Earth can show the motion of the Earth due to conservation?
He said that no optical experiments could show the motion of the Earth around the sun. He mentioned not about the rotation of the Earth.
He said optical in another quote. He did say optical, but he did also say no terrestrial experiments.
Yeah, but because what he's saying, and again, in both of those things, he's talking about the motion of the Earth around the sun, not about Earth's rotation. The thing is about Earth's orbit around the sun is it's a gravitational orbit. It's a straight line traveling through curved space. So, an optical experiment wouldn't be able to pick that up. And from Earth, just looking up, you can't definitively say, well, they're moving or we're, but just by kind of looking. So we do have other ways of doing it. And what we can do is test the Earth's rotation, which was not anything that Einstein was talking about. So what I want you to do is focus on the fact that the predictions of the globe Earth match not 1, 2, but 3 experiments following the scientific method to show that the Earth rotates at the amount that we expect it to. Isn't it a bit odd that if the Earth is stationary, the predictions of a rotating globe hold true every time?
I don't think that they do hold true every time.
Well, they do. They're every single time they hold 100% true. You just don't understand things if you're saying they don't.
So why does a gyro not flip in a plane? Like if you fly from one side of the Earth to the other,
those things called pendulum vanes. They don't use physical gyros really anymore, but when they did, they had pendulous vanes which held them in place so they stayed perpendicular to gravity.
So why would you put something into a device to prevent it from showing its expression?
Because the point is, because it needs to maintain its orientation relative to the ground. The fact is the Earth's rotation would make it maintain its rigidity in space and probably do what you said. And we don't want that to happen. What we want it to do is to be able to show us 2 axes rather than 3 so that we can control our yaw, pitch, and roll and stuff. It would be pointless if it flipped over. It wouldn't be able to do its job and maintain its position relative to the surface of the Earth. So,
if it flipped, though, it would show you your actual orientation.
That would not be the purpose of the gyroscope. The gyroscope isn't designed to do that. The gyroscope is designed to give you like an artificial horizon and things like that, which you wouldn't be able to do if you just let it freely spin without anything to hold it in place. Again, pendulous vanes are the answer you're looking for, right? I need a quick toilet break, right? So if you bear with me for 2 minutes, and what we can do is we can listen to the illustrious Austin Whitsitt with his new breakout hit.
What is a full moon and what is a new moon?
I heard he's about
model?
to
probably like a magnetic cycle, and just like the center of a ferrocell cell image of a magnet.
What is a full moon and what is a new moon on your model?
Probably like a magnetic cycle, and just like the center of a ferrocell cell image of a magnet.
Just like the center of a ferrocell spiral. Image of a magnet, it's just black in the middle. It's actually pure inertia, not just a little. In the ferrocell image of a magnet, it actually goes into its inertial state, then charges back up. It becomes like etherically displaced. You start to see it charge up once more. And it goes back like it did before. Once it becomes like etherically spaced, you see it charge up and take its place. Oh, shucks, ain't that something? That's how moon phases work, fam.
I'll try to be a little more maybe.
In the magnet's hard centrifugal divergence lines, centripetal convergence pulls, defying all science. Etheric whisper saying,
like showing his example of the driveway and the water and then the lamps right there, but I'm showing an example of magnet, so it doesn't count.
It actually goes into its inertial state, then charges back up. It becomes like
plus, I don't know how I feel about this whole big on off. You don't defend himself.
Grab your partner, swing around, magnetic cycles up and down. Either song in the air, hillbilly science everywhere. Cause it's like etherically displaced. regrets.
Okay, wavelengths of yellow light, hence the displacement to be expected was
Behind the jug of
0.4 fringe. The actual displacement was certainly less than the 20th part of this and probably less than the 40th.
Yep.
But since the displacement is proportional to the square of the velocity, the relative velocity of the Earth in the ether is probably less than 1/6 of the Earth's orbital velocity, and certainly less than 1/4. In what precedes, only the orbital motion of the Earth is considered. Why are they even considering the motion of the Earth if this had nothing to do
Because
with the
it's
motion
the
of the
ocean.
Earth? And only about the ether?
Again, because it's the motion of the Earth that will cause the difference in the speed of light. It was to measure how the aether would affect light. Right? They knew the Earth was moving. Right? They knew the Earth was going around the sun. But they thought that there was an aether that it traveled through, right? And the same as if you stick your hand out of a car when you're driving down the highway, you'll get the drag against your hand, right? Pushing your hand back. That's what they expected the Earth to do going through the aether, right? And that would cause light to act differently depending on whether they had the apparatus horizontal or perpendicular to Earth's motion around the sun. But they didn't, right? What they detected was a fringe shift that was so small that if that was true, then the Earth would be hardly moving at all. But again, what they detected was within the margin of error of the machine, so it didn't even matter. You know,
So
it's like having a ruler that measures the
actual results of their experiments. It would show that the Earth is hardly moving, if at all, maybe even something equivocative to a ether.
No. It would show that there's no difference in the speed of light depending on which way they faced the apparatus. That's what it showed, right? That
regardless,
was it.
anything moves light moves independent of anything else, right?
Well, we know that now because of relativity, yeah. But anyway, again, I would suggest watching the video with the expert that I spoke to, right? Who would be able to articulate it way better than I could and way better than anyone you've ever spoken to, okay? But what you need to know is that it wasn't about measuring Earth's speed, but about measuring how light was affected by Earth moving through the aether. Turns out there was no difference, right? But anyway, we have
that
measured
is the result that would. Okay, then let me ask you this: if the Earth was stationary, what would the MMX result look like to show a stationary Earth?
It would show that the aether. Well, it didn't show a stationary Earth because that would mean if the it actually says that in the paper that it meant that if the Earth was stationary, then the aether would be moving as well at the same, with us or whatever, which would be preposterous. Everything that it said that they suggested otherwise just didn't make sense in every other bit of physics and science and astronomy and everything that they knew. So they had to come up with an explanation for it as to what they saw. The explanation was that, well, maybe there isn't an aether like we thought there was. Because they still knew the Earth was moving, and that never changed from that experiment. No one from that experiment ever said that, oh, that means the Earth's not moving, right? And that's what flat earthers want you to believe, is that that's what it said. But the people that did the experiment would disagree with you.
It doesn't matter what the people who did the experiment extrapolate when they interpret the data. What the data
it does matter. It does matter. The people that do the experiment did not say that was the result. So no, you can't then come along and wait. Hold on. No. It's not about worldview. It's not about. Hold on, dude. It's not about worldviews. It's about science, right? They were trying to measure one thing. You can't then say, oh, well, I actually measured another thing that they weren't trying to measure. You're trying to change. You are trying. Please let me finish. Let me finish my thought. You are trying to change what they did the experiment for. That wasn't what the experiment was for. It wasn't capable of detecting the thing that you want it to. It was not able to tell us if the Earth was moving or stationary. And so for this conversation, it should be removed because it was not capable of doing that thing. All right. It's
so this
simple.
Experiment should have no discussion or mention of Earth motion of any kind in it.
Again, you are not qualified to list. You are not qualified to read the paper and come. You are not qualified to read the paper and come to that conclusion. It is talking about the Earth moving through the aether. I have said this now about 10 times. Nathan, I am starting to get a little frustrated with having to repeat myself and then you repeat yourself again. Please listen to the things that I am telling you and then move on, right? You don't need to argue when I am just giving you an education. You are wrong about the paper. Every physicist in the world says that you are wrong about the paper. The only people in the world that agree with you about the paper are flat earthers. And I don't want to be mean, but you're not stupid because you're a flat earther. You're a flat earther because you're stupid. And I'm not insulting you. It's just a fact.
So I guess I'm curious, what would the experimental result be? Because to me, if the Earth was not moving, we would get a result very similar to what the Michelson-Morley got with a hardly shifted fringe. Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Again, no, it's not capable of detecting that. That's not. You are now saying, I just literally asked you to not do this. Right? I've just told you to stop repeating yourself over and over when I have given you an answer. I'm going to say the same thing again. Right? There's no point in me saying the same thing again for you to then say the same thing again. The experiment was not capable of measuring the speed of Earth unless there was an aether. There was no aether, therefore that experiment was not capable of measuring the speed of Earth. Please stop bringing it up as though it was. Can we move on now and go back to the evidence of Earth's rotation that I just brought up?
Well, because from where I'm looking at this right now,
please,
I
don't want to talk about MMX because you don't understand the experiment, and I don't want to repeat myself again. I want to focus on the evidence of the Earth's rotation that I brought up. Right now, it just seems to me you're trying to avoid it and misunderstand a scientific paper that you do not have the scientific acumen to understand. Right? That paper was not written so that you could understand it. That paper was written so that physicists could understand it. You can't just look at it and then come to a conclusion when you're not qualified to do so. Every physicist in the world disagrees with your assumption about that paper. You have to realize that that means something, Nathan. Now, please, I have presented 3 bits of empirical evidence that the Earth does, in fact, following the scientific method, right? And I would very much like to discuss those and focus on those. Because right now, they debunk the fact that the Earth is flat and stationary. Because, especially the pendulum, that gives you different results based on your latitude because of Coriolis. Which isn't something that would exist if the Earth was flat.
Have you seen Mitchell from Australia? He had a video where he went to
he saw a broken experiment. Yeah. We called that experiment, and they said yes. The experiment's currently broken. It's under maintenance, so it's not.
So what was broken about it? It was missing its programmed motor.
No, it didn't. Kicker. It wasn't able to. If you want me to answer, then I will. Its pivot point was stuck, so it wasn't able to freely move. Okay, it was a broken experiment. Mitchell from You do notice that Mitchell from Australia has ran off of the internet since that video when he got exposed by Mr. Sensible. Right? There's a reason for that. There's a reason that he ran away from the internet after he got exposed by Mr. Sensible. But again,
so that
when
was,
the experiment,
bro.
Yeah, yes, they actually did maintenance on it, got it working again. If something's not working properly, then it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. But every time the pendulum experiment is set up properly, it does what it's supposed to do. I did it myself.
Did they really go to the South Pole and set it up, and it started going the wrong way because they set it up
because
wrong?
They didn't
so
set it up right,
the right way, and it goes the right way.
If you set it up correctly, then it does what it's supposed to do. If you calibrate it correctly, it will measure the rotation that it's supposed to do. They didn't do what they were. They had a very, very crude experiment that had very few controls. And wasn't a great experiment at all, to be honest. The way that they had set it up, there wasn't a lot of space for them to do what they wanted to do. The string wasn't very long. It wasn't a great experiment. But when they got it set up as good as they could, it then measured the Earth's rotation and what they would expect. But when the pendulum is set up, whenever you are in the world doing, when it's set up correctly, like I did, like anyone that does a physics degree sets it up correctly, then it will measure enough for you to calculate your latitude on Earth. And that's based on the fact that Coriolis forces exist. which is because the Earth is rotating, all right? So how is it possible that you can set up a pendulum, different places on Earth, get a different result, and from that result, calculate your latitude if the Earth isn't rotating?
Because the sky is given to us for signs and seasons and for navigation. It's an intelligent
but it's nothing to do with the sky. It can't see the sky. Hold on. You didn't answer my question. To be clear, the pendulum can't see the sky. I did it in an enclosed building. The sky is nothing. The sky is absolutely nothing to do with this.
And it creates an ether, which
do you have any evidence of the ether
into objects here on Earth, especially over a long
so
period of time.
you just said a thing. But there's no evidence of an ether. I have the exact mechanism by which it happens. You are going, possibly something we can't measure or have any evidence of, right?
Well,
you can't.
It aligns
what you're
with
doing,
the sky, with your latitude. Your latitude's based on your ground position.
It doesn't. The stuff in the sky moves at 15 degrees per hour. It doesn't matter where you are. But the pendulum gets a different movement based on where you are, so it doesn't matter what the sky does.
Latitude based on what gets imparted to us.
No, that doesn't matter. The sky moves at 15 degrees per hour no matter where you are. So then it should impart at 15 degrees per hour no matter where you are. But it can't.
How much
but here, hold on, no, stop, Nathan, stop, Nathan. Right, you're going. Well, there's this magic thing that we don't know of. There's no evidence of. Right. If you're going to claim aether, then I need to see evidence of the aether, and I need to know the mechanism by which it is able to impart this force, right? You can't just say a thing when I have everything that follows science, right? You started the conversation in your intro by talking about how science is important and we should see what science is. And then you're going, magic sky daddy, make thing move, right? No, that's not how this works. I have evidence, I have a mechanism, I have a prediction, I have exactly everything which backs up the globe rotating, right? And you just saying, well, it could be an aether with no evidence of an aether means that you don't have anything, right? You can't say aether because there's no evidence of an aether. So let's stick to things that we have evidence of.
How is it that like something like the ether can be so easily dismissed by the globe to say, well, you don't have
there's no evidence of it.
Evidence of an ether, even though it's a framework to allow for
frameworks don't make them real.
Different lines of inquiry and different ways of
frameworks don't make things real.
Why does the globe get to say there's dark matter, there's dark energy, which don't
you're changing the subject. You are changing the subject, dude. You're changing the subject. You are changing the subject. We are talking about Earth's rotation. We are talking about Earth's rotation. There's nothing to do with dark matter or dark energy in Earth's rotation. Okay? Stick to Earth's rotation. Do not change the subject, right? There is no aether. Unless you have evidence of the aether, you cannot bring up aether, right? I want that to be the case. If you don't have evidence of it, then you really should not be bringing it up. So what I want you to do... So you're going off
the assumption then that the Michelson-Morley falsified all ether. When I had explained that it might have identified...
What it did was it falsified the only ether that it was looking for, which was the luminiferous ether. Okay?
So could there not be other models of ether that are not falsified by that experiment and therefore
there is none. There is no other models of ether that have any evidence to back them up. None at all. They don't exist. It's as simple as that.
There's no other postulations of what an ether could be.
With nothing with evidence to back it up, right? And evidence is important, right? There's no evidence for any kind of aether. None. Zero. Nada. It doesn't exist. There's no explanation. There's no mechanism. It's just something that you guys make up for no reason. It does not exist unless you can present evidence for it. Again, I want you to focus on the fact that the evidence that I presented matches the globe model. It matches the physical predictions of the globe model. It is what we expect 100% on the globe model. So why does it happen if the Earth's not a globe?
If it's set up right.
Well, of course, if you don't set up an experiment right, it's not going to do it right. Like, if you don't set up a set of scales right, it's not going to measure your weight right, is it? You know?
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah. Experiments need to be set up properly. It's kind of important.
Yes, it is.
Just want to say thank you to the 800 people watching. You guys are amazing. And the amount of members in the chat is incredible. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll get to super chats and stuff soon, see if there's any questions in there. But yeah, so Aether, there's no evidence of it.
So what is the, like, because I would claim that the Earth moving, or that the sky moving is able to impart rotation into
how would it do
things
that
here on the Earth.
How? What physical mechanism would impart a force?
Well, I think wasn't it Einstein that did say that it's an equal. It's like with the relativity train, how either one can be equal. You can have
no. Einstein never said that. Einstein never once said that the sky moving could impart a force. Never, ever.
Look, it would create if the sky was turning above us, it would create.
No,
it would create a descending vortex.
No, it wouldn't.
A vortex would.
No, it wouldn't. Einstein never said the sky moving would create a vortex.
No, Einstein didn't. But if something is moving,
why would the sky moving create a vortex? A vortex of what?
Of ether.
But there's no evidence of an ether. And why would the sky moving make a vortex?
Because it's a perpetual circling motion. It's like a whirlpool in liquid.
So why would it make a vortex?
Like
why would it not just go around with it? But there's no evidence of, you keep saying it's a framework. Saying it's a framework is not evidence of the aether. Again, we agreed just now. Nathan, hold on, Nathan, hold on. I want to come to an agreement. Please, I just want to come to an agreement beforehand. Unless you have evidence that the aether exists, please don't bring up the aether. Evidence the aether exists means you have actual evidence of the aether, what it is, the mechanism by which it can impart a force. Unless you have those things, please don't just go what ifs, all right? Unless you have evidence of the aether, do not bring it up.
But this is speculation about a framework.
The frameworks aren't evidence.
Explanation of a worldview.
They're not evidence, though. I want to talk about evidence.
So, like, one of the things that you asked was, how does it impart something down below us?
Yeah. By what method does it impart? Yeah.
So if you have, say you have like a tub of water, if you stir the surface of it,
but we're not in a tub of water,
it will start to go down and cause a spinning underneath.
But again, we're not in a tub of water. We're not in an aether.
Ether's a ubiquitous fluid.
We're not in anything like that. There is no evidence of a vortex of any kind. All right, physically, what force would it impart?
According to the globe worldview, relativity.
No, according to anything, right? What force would it impart? What would it be? Electromagnetic, gravitational? What would it be? What would the physical force that we can measure be? Because if we can't measure it, if we can't test it, then it doesn't matter.
We can. It imparts motion into things like
how
it can impart motion into, because they're partaking in the vortex, something like a pendulum that's in free swing.
But there's nothing. There's nothing here. There's nothing moving. There's no vortex.
The ether is here.
Can you show me the ether? Can you measure it for me, please? What force does it impart? How does it impart that force?
Well, it's imparted through vortexes.
Vortex
through
of
rotating
what?
motion towards
motion of what?
Existing.
Motion of what though? There's nothing to make a motion of though. You keep saying it's imparted by a vortex. Vortexes wouldn't have a consistent 15 degree per hour like you're saying. Actually, the movement of liquids gets different as you go towards the outside. It would be a lot if the sky is moving, that would cause a difference slower up there to what it is, actually faster up there to what it is down here. It would be a different amount as you go up, and it isn't. There is no vortex and there is no aether unless you can present me evidence that there is a physical property imparting a force, right? Otherwise, you're just making things up. Let me try to
figure out a way to explain the ether. Let me try to figure out a way to word it, or a way to.
Would you like some straws
to show it, demonstrate it?
I have some other straws.
Let me ask you something about the stars real quick. With that 15 degrees per hour, do all the stars move at 15 degrees roughly per hour?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question to you is this: is if there is we see with depth perception.
Yes, Professor Bell.
So like things that are further away from us, appear to move slower because of parallax than things that are closer to us. Like if you're in a car, you're driving in the road, power lines are going to move past you very quickly. Trees behind those off a little bit into the distance will move slower than the power lines. And then the mountains way in the back will hardly appear to move at all. And they're much more distant than the power lines. So why, now all of the trees move at the same rate because they're all equal distant. So why do the stars that are supposed to be close to us, why are the stars that are 4 light years away compared to the ones that are thousands of light years away, why do they all move the same when the ones that are further away should be moving slower and the ones that are closer to us should appear to move faster? All of them moving about equal would imply equal distance, as though they were in a firmament or dome.
Yeah, I knew what you were going to say. I had the answer prepared. When you actually look at them very closely, there is slight differences called stellar parallax that we can see, especially a difference as the Earth orbits around the Sun, of course.
I'm not talking stellar parallax.
But the point is
I'm
that there
talking depth perception parallax. On nightly, not
that is the
months.
same thing, dude. It's due to depth perception and how far away they are. The difference that the things move, it's called proper movement. The proper movement of the stars actually aligns with exactly what we would expect. But the thing is, because all the stars are so far away compared to us that they can be considered projected onto a sphere around us that is really far away.
But relative
at the
to
same
one
difference.
another, there
Wait,
are
can I? Maybe if I finish my thought, that would be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
So we can consider the stars projected onto a sphere concentric around Earth at an indeterminate but very far distance away, because they are so far away that their proper movements compared to us are very, very, very small. But they are measurable, exactly what we predict. Every movement of the star matches the predictions of the globe.
So they
And
can
I
be
know she did
treated
change
as though they're equal distant despite being hundreds of times closer or further than other stars next to them?
Because they're so far away compared to us, yeah.
But the ones that are really far away from us
maybe
are
again,
far
maybe you
compared
didn't
to
listen
ones
to
that
the
are
words
close
that I
to us.
said. Maybe you didn't listen to the words that I said, because I did answer the question you're already asking. Again, they are very, 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 very far away, all of them. But there is slight differences in proper motion that can be measured. Did you understand those words? Please don't ask the same question again.
So is that but now we're talking I'm talking nightly star rotation.
You've just asked the same question again. You've just asked the same question again that I've already answered. I'm going to answer it once more, and I would very much, I would very much appreciate if you don't ask the same question after I ask it. There is proper movements of the stars relative to us that we measure, that matches the fact that the Earth rotates and moves 1 degree roughly around our sun every day. Everything that we see that happens in the sky matches the predictions of the globe 100%. If you think it doesn't, that is your misunderstanding.
Okay, let me just say this whole thing here. So you said that on a night-to-night basis, we see the 1 degree, and then that's how over the 6 months you get stellar parallax when you're on one side of the sun or the other, according to the globe. And I had said I'm not talking about stellar parallax.
Yeah, again, it's not just. Yeah, it happens every day.
One night.
Yes, and the stellar parallax is. Oh my goodness, are you not listening? The proper motion of the stars, the proper motion of the stars can. You are clearly not listening. I never said it just happens over 6 months. You said that. Stellar parallax can be measured day to day.
Okay, but I'm talking about how stars appear to move relative to one another. You have a close star. Anything that's
right. No, just stop,
you
Nathan. Just stop, Nathan, and listen. Just stop and listen. Just stop and listen. I literally just said this to you, and then you ask the same thing over and over, right? It's very, very frustrating when you don't listen and then you ask the same thing. Okay, day to day, you can measure the parallax of stars. Every single day, you can see the difference based on their relative position to us. Some more than others, some less than others, based on how far away they are. But it happens every single day. You can see a difference, okay? Please, don't ask me the same question again.
Okay, so then the way that you answered that would make it
you
sound
ask
like
it again, I'm
I'm
gonna
probably
cry.
not saying it right so that it's understood properly. Because if you're saying that day to day how stars move relative to us, I'm asking how stars move relative to each other. How
Yes,
does a power
relative to each
line
other and
move at
to
the
us.
same rate
Relative
as
to
the
each other
trees,
and to
as the
us. Relative to each other and to us, okay? But here's what you don't seem to understand. All of the stars that you see in the night sky, every single one of them are moving with us around the center of the galaxy, right? They are traveling the same speed and direction that we are. All of them. There's slight differences because some are closer to the center of the galaxy, some are further away from the center of the galaxy.
But that's
all
irrelevant
of
because
them,
our motion of
all
the
of
Earth
them.
is
Let me
claimed to
finish
be
my.
what
Let me
causes the
finish.
apparent
Right.
motion
Why?
of the
Why
sky.
don't you let me finish my thought?
Go for it.
Right. All of the stars are moving with us, and the motions and movements of the stars that we see relative to each other and to us is exactly what we expect on the globe model. For the 7th time, please don't ask me the same question.
Well, why I'm asking it is because you're not answering to my question.
I am.
You're answering.
The stars.
Okay.
Right, listen, open your ears, Nathan, please.
Okay, all right.
The stars, relative to us and relative to each other, move the exact amount that we predict by the globe. The stars' positions to each other is measurable. The movement relative to each other is measurable. The movement relative to us is measurable. Every day, every minute, we can see the difference based on our position to the stars and the stars' position to each other. It all matches. I don't know how many ways I can answer the question that you keep asking, but that is now 8 times, Nathan, that I have answered the same question for you.
So then I'll say this, and then I'll say it differently to show the example, and let me see if I'm following.
I swear to God, if you ask the same question, I'm going to go mad.
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. All right.
Please don't ask the same question.
Please
don't ask the same question.
This
I will get angry if you ask the same question about the stars. Okay.
This is. I don't want that. I really. When we're cool-headed, we have better discussion. Everyone does. So I want us to keep rational here. So let me ask this. So I gave the example of the power lines. We agree. Something closer to you when you're driving moves faster than something in the distance. So now then what the globe is claiming is, say those power lines were 1,000 miles away and the tree line was 1,500 miles away and the mountains were 3,000 miles away. The claim is that once things are so far away, even if they are closer or further than themselves to the observer, they're all going to appear to move the same due to being so far away.
Right.
They're all going to appear to move the same rate.
Let's say you're traveling in a car, right? And you've got some mountains that are 100, there's some mountains that are 10 miles from you, right? And then behind those are some bigger mountains that are 20 miles away from you. Which one of those are going to move slower and have less movement compared to each other relative to you? The ones that are closer or the ones that are further away?
The further away.
Right. Now let's move those other mountains back another 100 times than they are, right? Is the motion between them going to be now slower and even smaller?
Yes.
Now let's move them 1,000,000 times further away. Do you still think you're going to be able to detect that relative apparent motion relative to you? Or is it now going to seem so small that you might need some special equipment to be able to detect it?
Yeah, you probably would need some sort of apparatus.
There we go! Why does that take 9 times?
Okay. So then that would be, because I'm just trying to conceptualize, because my understanding is we always see with depth perception. We always are looking into the distance, and so we always have things closer and further to us. And that's part of like how some people refute some of the NASA stuff, is how some of their footage has the clouds at the horizon move just as fast as when they're right under the, supposed spacecraft or anything like that.
But they don't.
It's the same speed at all times, and there's no parallax. Things don't get faster as they approach you.
What are you talking about?
So that's what that was my understanding, is that that things that are close, even a star that's 4 light years away, is going to be closer to us, so it's going to fall into that faster moving band that things that 4 light years away move so quick in our view.
But because they're all so far away, that 4 light years versus 400 light years, the relative motion compared to us is going to be very little. Even though one of them is 400 times further away than the other, because they're so far away anyway, that it's very hard to see that there's that much difference.
And this is assuming we know their distances, right?
Because, well, we do. We've measured it with spectroscopy and stuff, so that's fine. We do.
So then, how was it that we were off by 100 light years for Polaris's distance? Didn't it go from
because we got more and more accurate? Yeah.
Away?
That's the thing. Measurements can be made again and become more and more accurate as technology improves. There's no problem with that at all.
So it's based on our current understanding of how far we think
it's based on our current levels of technology and accuracy. I would prefer something that is more accurate than something else. As time develops and science progresses, we become more and more accurate with things. That's just how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, like PhD Tony is trying to say, it's the ratio between the distance between us and the velocity that we're traveling. And if you do the maths for those, it all works out. It all matches the globe, right? Now, I want to point out that what you've done is misunderstand experiments. Say, well, it could be an aether, even though there's no evidence for an aether or a mechanism by which that can impart a force. And then you've kind of misunderstood parallax and stuff, which, none of that is evidence that the Earth is flat, along with, the stuff about seeing too far and refraction. Again, nothing else falls outside the variables that we expect on the globe. None of the images ever presented are not what we would expect on the globe under certain conditions. So let me just check your notes. So the actual evidence that you brought wasn't really evidence. It was kind of misunderstandings, right?
It's an observation that I've yet to see recreated using any claimed variables on a curved surface.
Well, it happens all the time on the globe, which is a nice curved surface. And it's kind of hard to recreate the globe.
You can look at reality and say reality's reality, but you have to, if you're going to try to claim reality is something, you have to show that in an experimental setting.
Yeah, which we kind of do all the time.
So could I see a depth perception look at a curved surface that brings all the lights up behind curve that?
Yeah, if you go to Mick West's YouTube channel, he did that in a tank filled with sugar water quite well, actually.
So that's an orthogonal view, not a perspective view.
No, he did it. He did it side on, and he did it. He showed it camera on both. Yeah, doesn't matter. It shows refraction doing what we expect it to do.
And the light enters downward.
But the thing is, he has it straight on and several times. Maybe you haven't seen the actual video, but all of it matches what refraction. Refraction does what we say that it does. Unless you guys can prove categorically that refraction doesn't do what we say it does, then you kind of don't have a point. So the only other thing you brought up was some documents that Nathan, what's his name? I've read Nathan presented. Like the NASA documents, the derivation of linear aircraft.
Yeah, and then the asymmetric damage.
Yeah, you ever read that paper by any chance? That document.
The derivation?
Yeah, you ever read it?
What about it?
Well, how many things that don't exist does it have in the first paragraph?
How many things? Well, they say like a rigid aircraft of constant mass, even though an aircraft is losing, mass all the time from fuel.
Yeah, and they bend a lot. They're kind of designed to. They have to actually. Why would a document have a bunch of things that don't exist in it?
Well, I think what the Globe says is that it would be assumption to make it easier.
Well, it's not what the Globe says. There's nothing to do with what the Globe says. It's just how engineers do things. You simplify stuff to make the calculations easy. There would be no point. If I was to try and calculate why that's falling down, there'd be 0 point me using Einstein's tensor equations. I could do, but it'd be really fucking hard and pointless, right? I'd much rather use the more simplified version of Newton's law of gravity. It's the same with these documents. They simplify things to make the calculations easier, because there's some variables that just don't need to be taken into account for how something would work. Once you've got the basic design, you can then iterate it and test it in different ways. But for basic kind of design, modeling, you simplify things on purpose because it makes the job easier. And that's all those documents are. The fact is they're from NASA, right? And NASA sends stuff to space.
Well, they claim they do.
They definitely do.
So that would be, well, I mean, they claim they do. They don't have like a live feed that will take you from Earth to outer space and show that. They'll show you going up a few 100,000 feet and then arcing across.
You mean like this, for instance?
So this is okay. There's a cut. There's a cut. There's a cut.
Well, yeah, but
we're on the rocket here.
Here, yeah. So the rocket, just as it's taking off, that's just as it launches.
Yep. Okay, so let's see it. Well, now this is going to go. All right, yeah. I mean, let's see if this goes to space. It falsifies flat Earth right there.
It does.
So,
it's quite a good one, actually.
All right, just keep going up
through the clouds.
Keep going up. See, it's looking like it's starting to level out here. It's doing that like Disney arc.
You see, right, the nice thing that you notice here is, if we go back to like here, you see the plume of smoke behind it, right? How at this point here is, this is sped up like 20 times, just so you know, just for the point of it. But you see the smoke at the back of it, how it's all quite tight there, right? Then as it goes up and up and up, further out in the atmosphere, that plume of smoke gets wider and wider and wider, because the atmospheric pressure is pressing less and less and less on it. That's why it gets wider and wider and wider. And there behind it is the curve of the Earth. Well, there's no reason for a gradient on a flat Earth, but there's the curve of the Earth behind it, exactly as we would expect. It just keeps going. It's getting higher and higher.
Curve, but
I mean, you can literally see that there's a curve there. You see how the plume is now extreme. Well, it's definitely curved. You can put a bit of paper up to the screen if you don't, if you don't believe me. It's definitely a curve there. But that was from launch to space, and I mean, you can't tell me you don't see the curve there, right?
Is that into space? Is that or is that into?
Well, it's past the Kármán line.
So it's high up in the atmosphere, but it's not.
It's outside. It's basically the outside of what we would consider atmosphere. It's obviously still going to be within like our exosphere and stuff, but it's high enough that the vacuum of space is practically there. You can clearly see the curve of the Earth, and you saw it go from launch all the way up. Exactly what we expect.
I don't know if that necessarily is the type of visual because that would there. Craig,
that's just what you asked for, man. You just said, "Oh, that goes into space. It falsifies flat Earth," and I showed you it going into space.
Like, and no one, there would not be a single biblical earther if there was a video that was from launch to clearly into outer space, even where you.
But I just showed you that
fullness of the ball. What we're seeing there is a high altitude rocket. We're seeing a.
So you want a video of it going like further than they normally go at this point. So you basically want a live stream when they go to the moon to watch that.
They're only in lower orbit.
And then but you can clearly see the curve of the Earth, and they're clearly in space, which you said NASA don't send stuff to.
They're up high, close to the firmament, and that horizon.
Firmament. Sorry, there's definitely no firmament there. We'd be able to see it, and also radar proves there's no firmament.
Why would they be able to see it? And how does radar disprove a firmament?
Because radar doesn't bounce off the firmament. Radar can measure the distance to the sun at 93 million miles.
Properties of the firmament to know what would or would not bounce off it.
It would have to be something solid. So, but anyway, we can measure the distance to the sun with radar, which we did in 1963, I believe, and at 93 million miles. So either the firmament is 93 million miles away, or the sun is outside of it.
How did we measure the distance to the sun?
With radar, I just said those words.
So we
pointed a radar
so
at the sun. We fired the radar, and we measured the time it took for the signal to come back after it bounced off of the sun. About 16 minutes.
16 minutes because it's 8 light minutes away.
Yeah.
The sun is claimed to be. That one I'm gonna have to look into because I think I remember hearing something about that, but I don't think. I mean, to get a signal back from the sun.
I'll send you the paper if you like.
Okay.
It's not hard to find. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. Right, let me show you this. Apparently, this is exactly the thing that you've just asked for. So let's do a test of your intellectual honesty, shall we?
Yeah. Clouds. This looks like the shape of a planisphere. One of those like star chart graphs that they have.
I think it's just a veil on the camera.
Yeah. Just the shape looks like it is all.
Obviously, this is sped up several hundred times.
Yes.
We'll skip through to show you where it goes. So it gets higher and higher. Oh, yeah. Is that far enough away for you?
I think so. If we're gonna test intellectual honesty here, can we say that that's clearly a GoPro?
Well, it's clearly fisheye lens, yeah.
Yeah, or some sort of fisheye.
Yeah, but is it high enough for you?
So, but like that's the thing is that's a GoPro, like a curved lens.
Well, not necessarily a GoPro.
You cannot take a.
But I mean, it's a fisheye of some kind. I'm not going to deny that that's a fisheye, but is it high enough for you from launch to you know?
I mean, that's not showing like a full ball.
All right. Well, I mean, we do have lots of pictures of the
that's
full
not
ball.
even a partial ball. It's still just part of a horizon. We're only seeing part of horizon. We're not seeing the full rotundity of the Earth. We're not. Yeah. Yo, come on, man. You can't be
I've added,
putting some funny comics up here when we're trying to talk about the shape of the Earth. Like that was a GoPro camera or fisheye lens of some sort.
Yeah, I'm not denying that, but this isn't. This is actually on a satellite out in space. Pretty sure it's the Lagrange one. No, this is the GOES, isn't it? Yeah.
There's some green on the side of the moon, on the northeast side.
Yeah, that's because the camera uses 3 sensors, blue, green, and red, to capture the image, and it does them one at a time. And the moon actually moved slightly in the frame as those 3 images were captured to put together. That's why you get that slight chromatic aberration. It's called.
So where's the red chromatic aberration or the blue chromatic aberration?
Well, like the green would be the one that shows the most because that would be the one that was taken as that would be where the wavelengths were as it moved. So if you actually zoom in and have a look, you do see a bit of green, red, and blue. It's just what you expect with when you take a lot of cameras actually have that. That's how you need to keep things still when you're taking a lot of pictures. Otherwise, you get that as a general thing. But I can show you video after video and picture after picture, and you're just going to go nut up.
What's that?
I can show you picture after picture and video after video, and you're just going to go nut up and move the goalposts. Right? You want a very specific thing.
Let's test my intellectual honesty and see what I think of that video. And then you showed me one that has a fisheye lens of some sort, and that, I mean, clearly that's not going to be able to. If the Earth was actually curved,
but the thing is, right? Your claim
be able to keep the curve going. Right. It would never be able to make it look convex.
To be honest, though, Nathan, this wasn't about curve. You claimed it was the words you said were. Well, NASA don't put stuff into space. But I can show you multiple examples of them going into space. I just did. There's things in space. I showed you stuff going to space.
That's what they call space. Setting some arbitrary Kármán line in low Earth
orbit. Oh, right. So you don't agree that it's called space. Well, the thing is, it is called space, and there's no evidence of a firmament. If
They're
there's
operating in
if
a
you're claiming
gap
there's a
above the
firmament,
firmament
right?
line,
Now,
below
hold
the
on,
firmament.
hold on. We agreed on this. You can't claim things unless there's evidence for them, and there's no
Okay,
evidence
well
that there's
then
a
let's
firmament.
go with NASA being hooey. Let me share my screen real quick.
So, just to confirm, there's no evidence of a firmament, right?
I think that I think the firmament is a thing. I
Do
can't.
you
I
have
don't
any
have a piece
evidence
of it
of
to
it?
show you.
Do you have any evidence that it's there? What's it made of? What's its composition? How can we detect it?
If
How can we measure it?
it's
How can
an
we test it?
unbreakable, if it's an unbreakable thing, I'm not going to be able to break a piece off of it.
So magic then?
So, I mean, it's impenetrable.
How do you know?
It's not.
But we sent stuff out. We've sent probes to the sun.
I mean,
that
break
93
a
million
piece
miles
off
away.
of it.
Again,
If it's
we've
not
measured the
impenetrable,
right.
break a
Here's the
piece
thing:
off
we've measured the distance to the sun at 93 million miles. So stuff can go through it, and we sent a probe to the sun, and we know it's 93 million miles away. So we can send stuff that goes 93 million miles. So either the barrier is more than 93 million miles away, or it's not an impenetrable barrier.
So I don't dispute that light can go through the firmament.
No.
because
A
starlight,
probe
sunlight, moonlight
went
is able
through
to
it.
get through
A physical probe. The Soda Parker probe went to the sun.
No,
Yes.
that
You
went to
can't-
Point Nemo.
No, it went to the sun. Went
It's
to
a
within
painful
three.
process to build it back. Could they do it again?
Yeah, we have. It's called Artemis.
Is that the one that got delayed? Is that the most recent delayed space mission,
Yeah.
Artemis, or was that a different
Yeah,
one?
and it has been a very painful process. There's nothing wrong with painful processes being things, but again, the Soda Parker probe didn't have people in it. It was a probe, and it went to the sun. It went to within 3 million miles of the star's corona sphere.
Before, being incinerated by the
No,
sun?
before then going into an orbit and sending us lots and lots of data.
It's orbiting the sun.
Pretty sure it still is, yeah.
Claimed.
Well, no, you can
Okay.
track it. Astronomy Live, I think,
So-
actually tracked the launch.
So they're gonna launch things. They're gonna be able to launch something and then send it out of
Into space,
our vision because we have a vanishing
Well, no, you can
point.
you
They
can
send it
track
beyond
where
that
it
and
goes.
crash
You
into
can
the
track
ocean.
where it goes in space. Astronomy Live tracks stuff in space all the time. In fact, Astronomy Live spent a long time tracking the car that Elon Musk sent to space with his own equipment. Nothing to do with NASA. So anyway, what you showing me here? That's he can track it. Yeah. So what you showing me
Hold
here?
on. How is he tracking the car in space?
I would go to his channel and have a look if you would like to know that answer. So what are you showing me here that you don't understand?
Well, Astronomy Live is claimed he was able to track the.
Yes,
it
Astronomy
looks so
Live
real, you
tracked
can
the
tell it's
car.
fake kind of a
Yes,
thing.
Astronomy Live tracked the car. If you'd like to see it, go to his web to his YouTube channel. He did several videos on it.
I'm gonna definitely be checking that out because that's he watched it with a telescope cruise around in the solar system.
If you would like to get the
Spaceman?
details of it, then go to his web channel and have a look. I just said that to you. Why would
Okay.
you then ask me the same thing again? You have a habit of this, Nathan, of asking me something which I then
it's
answer.
mind-boggling that he could optically zoom in and watch
But,
this.
you know
car
what
float
mind-boggling,
around.
Nathan, is that I answer you and you ask me the same thing several times. It would be really effective for the purpose of this conversation if you could maybe stop doing that.
Okay, all right. So let's go to this because I have this here with the globe here, and you can see 2012, and what is this other one to the right of it? 2002.
Wait. I'm going to get
Clearly
the
there's-
proof ready to debunk you because I've already got it here. I know exactly what you're going to say. Right, when you're ready.
All right, so I'll show these these clips here or these pictures here first. So we have the United States that takes up across basically the whole top half of the hemisphere, and then here it's a much smaller portion,
Ready?
about an
3,
eighth or so.
2,
We
1.
have over here we have the stitching
wait,
data.
Hold on.
we have-
Wait. One at a time. One at a time. Right. So what you're seeing on screen now is 2 pictures of the same globe. Can you
Okay.
explain to me why? Let's have a look at this one. So here's this one, right? And why does Africa get so much smaller? Because both of those pictures are of the same globe. Wow, it's amazing. Wait, hold on. Let's just check that again, shall we? Guys, where's the rest of the world go? Apparently, it's just planet Africa. How did that happen, considering that's two pictures of the same globe?
Yeah, the whole everything would go into scale with the
What does that mean? Again, what does that mean? Again, both of these pictures are of the same globe, right? One globe, not a different globe, the same globe. This is the globe. This is the same globe. These are the same things. There's Africa, and there's Africa that looks a lot bigger, taking up way more. They are the same globe.
Just at different distance and different millimeter aperture.
Exactly, which explains the pictures that you showed, because they were taken by satellites at different distances with different cameras.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So then what about this next picture with the stitching of with the strips of data, the flat strips?
Yeah, that's cool. So that's because some pictures are taken by satellites that are orbiting very low to Earth, that take strips of image and data and then are put together. Not all of them, just some of them. For instance, the 2012 Blue Marble that Rob Simmons edited was gathered by strips of data around Earth, because it was taken with a satellite that was low enough to get really high detailed close-up images. So that's why Mr. Simmons there said it's Photoshop, because it has to be, because the images that he was putting together were not of a full globe, they were of strips of the land. But that is the only one he has ever said that about. He doesn't say that all images have to be Photoshopped, just that one, because he had lots of bits that he had to put together to make a pretty picture. That was it.
Yeah,
and they weren't trying to hide
like,
it. They weren't trying to pretend. They weren't trying to say it's not that. They weren't trying to say it was one complete image of the globe. They never lied. They never said it was a complete photo. They were very transparent about exactly what they were doing. It's just people like you seem to think it's evidence of something it's not.
Okay. So then why do they duplicate clouds?
Because again, in the 2012 one, he was just trying to make it a pretty picture. And then sometimes when he was putting it together, it distorted things slightly, and he just wanted to have nice looking clouds. So they copy and pasted a few bits for a nice picture. Again, this was photoshopped because it had to be. But when you have pictures of actual full images of the Earth that were taken with one camera, you don't get that. But again, NASA never claimed that it was anything other than what it is.
I wonder, Craig, I think I actually have it like right here. But like this article from Science, it's the first photo of the entire Earth in 43 years, and this was happening right when like flat Earth was getting big. And this is from
just
July
to be clear, it doesn't
2015.
say sex, it's just pareidolia.
Well, I mean, it kind of does say
No,
that.
it doesn't.
Like,
It's just
if you rotate
pareidolia. It doesn't say it. It's just pareidolia.
Hold on, if I can rotate and zoom in.
Nathan,
Okay,
again,
this is an S.
there's no X there, right? Actually, no. To me, if anything, that looks like an F, because I can see a little tail in the middle towards where the E would. Well, it's not even an E. I would say that would be. Well, that actually is. If anything, it looks like a flick tail of a fancy F written in calligraphy, and then we've got what looks like a C with a blob underneath it. And then a Y with a dash to the side. No, it doesn't look anything like sex. It's just pareidolia.
Okay, all right. Pareidolia. I mean, that could be. It could not be like some occult thing or anything like that.
There's not. No. You're just making stuff up.
Well, I mean, Jack Parsons was really into that kind of freaky stuff. Like,
all of my chat seems to think it says Fae, if anything.
I mean, he wasn't that it does have a part of NASA's origins, is that like Jack Parsons and what he was into, his occult, Aleister Crowley type of things.
But again, pareidolia is a thing. There isn't really a face on Mars.
Oh wait, that's Buzz Aldrin who says there's like a obelisk or something. Well,
have you got any other evidence that NASA are dodgy, or
some of the? What's up?
You got any other evidence that NASA are dodgy? Because every time people bring up NASA being dodgy, I seem to debunk it quite easily.
I mean, Peggy, what was her name? Peggy Wilson was in the air for 666 days, and
yeah, and
there's stuff with like devil horns and praying to pyramids and everything.
What does that mean?
That just would go into like their occults or their willingness to dupe people, and then that's why they get like dupers delight. Like you don't think they're using hairspray on the ISS to keep women's hair?
Are they also using hairspray on their chains that are floating around? And in fact, in that video where everyone claims it's hairspray, what you see is she's got her hair all tied, right? And it's clearly got no kind of hairspray or anything on. It's all tied up in a bun, in like a ponytail. She takes it out, does this, and it stays up there. Hairspray wouldn't do that. Hairspray would not make her chain that she's wearing float around. Hairspray would not make her clothes billow up like there's no force pulling them down.
So you've seen the stuff with like the wires then about them getting pulled, having a little protrusion where their like shirt goes to a point or something.
So you on about the bit where the guy gets his finger caught in the guy's pocket as he does a spin and starts moving off to the right, which is something that actually, if they were on a harness, there's no reason why as he does a spin he would start drifting slowly to the side. Physics with a place where we're pulling down wouldn't let that happen. What you see where people think it's a wire pulling is as he moves away, the guy next to him goes to grab without looking to stop him moving away and just catches his finger in his pocket or possibly a buckle on the side of his trousers and pulls him back, which makes his trouser pull up.
It's his shirt that's being pulled.
Well, that might be a different one, and if anything, it's probably just his shirt billowing because of the fact that he's moving up and down, and inertia is a thing. There's like 53 minutes of uninterrupted footage of them traveling through the ISS, going through doorways, doing spins, moving around each other. There's no way wires could do what they are doing. Plus, have you ever heard of harness trauma?
Of what?
Harness trauma. In general, you can't be in a harness for more than 9-10 minutes at a time because it actually starts causing major problems to your body. Starts cutting off circulation, and a lot of circus actors die because of not paying attention to the trauma that being in a harness causes your body. They couldn't be doing what they are doing for hours at a time whilst in harnesses. They would be dead.
I'm not heard of that. I didn't know that was a thing.
I'd look it up.
So, I mean, but if they're able to do certain, like, if you can watch like a sci-fi movie or something and they can artificially simulate weightlessness and they would.
But they don't have have uncut 53-minute tours through the ISS. Like I've been watching Adam Sandler's recent movie. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called now, but he's on a trip out into space, and an alien spider comes on his ship, and he makes friends with it. And you notice that
my coworker told me about that movie.
Yeah, it's really good. But you notice that as he's moving through his thing, there's cuts all the time. Because obviously there is. But the video of the ISS is like 53 minutes of uncut of them going through the ISS, showing everything. That's not something that you could easily produce or would even be possible to produce.
Okay.
So what you showing me here? Spaceman, that's the name of the film, Spaceman, yeah.
I'll have to look at that. 53 minutes of ISS footage?
Yes.
Okay. And I think, this is the one here.
Oh, yeah, no, he grabs... this is not his shirt. He grabs the top of his trousers. You can see it. There we go. See, he grabs... That's either his pocket or like a buckle. Like if I stand up, you can see. Let me get on camera. Right. So if we look at like this bit here, or maybe in the pocket, it pulls up like that, and that's what you see. Or possibly
he like slips his finger into his pocket.
Yeah, like that. Because what he does, he goes to grab, and what he gets is his pocket like that.
You're saying that his finger is basically under here.
Yeah. If you zoom in, you can see that his little finger is actually hooked on something. which is either his pocket or a buckle on his belt. And he's doing that because he's drifting off to the side and obviously doesn't want him to. So without looking, because he's still looking at the camera in front of him, he just puts his hand to the side, grabs him, the first thing he can, which happens to be his pinky in his fucking pocket, and pulls him back. There's no
Yeah, maybe it
wires.
did kind of look like he snagged him by the pinky there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
See, right there.
is his pinky going into
Yeah.
into his shirt
Yeah.
or into his trousers. Okay. Huh. All right. What do you think about singing? Have you seen this one with the Chris Hatfield and the Bare Naked Ladies, and they're doing a live?
Yeah, what
They're
about them?
singing live.
Okay, and
So they're synced up and they're playing guitar with each other. They're singing the song together.
Yeah.
Isn't there supposed to be like a 2 to 8 second delay in communication?
well, that would be very easy. You just let Chris Hadfield take the lead, and you sing along when the signal comes to you. I mean, they're both playing a song that they know. I can play along to a song on the radio and play it in time. So if there's a slight delay, all the dude on the stage has to do is just play. I mean, he's got earphones in, right? So that's his monitor in his ear. So that monitor is going to be playing the music that Chris Hadfield's playing in space, so he can play along with it. You know, they're not doing it at
And their
exactly the
music
same
that
time
they're
and trying to
listening
sync it
is
up.
not, it's synced up.
Well, he'll be listening to whatever's coming from Chris Hadfield in space, right? So as he hears it in his ear, he also then plays it. So he's probably playing it a couple of seconds after Chris Hadfield's physically playing it in space. But for him, he's hearing it and then playing it along as he's hearing it. Just like he would if he was playing along to a radio song.
Okay, because this one, I have this one, but I have seen footage as well where there are like, they'll have like the Q&A from ISS and everything, and there will be people who will answer. Sometimes it'll be like a second, sometimes it'll be right away, sometimes it'll be like 10
Yeah,
seconds
that's
later.
usually
Some
because you're
people are
seeing
like-
one side of the broadcast. So if we were, say, filming from in space, inside the ISS, right? The people on the ISS, they would see the image on their screen and then respond to it in real time. So for them, there's no delay between getting the question and responding to it. And then that's what you're being shown. The same on the ground, right? So if the astronaut says something to them, whilst they hear it, they then respond in real time. And that is what you're going to see. You're not going to kind of see the whole back and forth from both sides. You know, it's all explained. And
Because it doesn't, the signal has to go from ground to ISS, back to ground.
yeah, but I mean, the signal that we're doing right now goes from my garden up to the satellites in space, and then back to the ground station, and then to you and everything, and that's happening at the speed of light. You know, in fact, my latency is, I think, about 0.335 milliseconds or something. Let me check. So it's really not very much.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty low for satellite internet.
Well, yeah, I've got 37 milliseconds latency,
Okay.
and that's from satellites. You know.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I gotta look at that ISS video. Live Astronomy Live was really able to watch
Yes.
a car out in like past Mars. That'd be some sort of resolution. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check on that, and then I'll try to figure out a way to frame say or talk or mention about the ether, as far as a framework and how that would be possible, or how it would explain. Because I guess I have to think of a way to describe it to you that is sufficient.
Fact is, Nathan, that you started the conversation talking about how important science was and looking at what science was, right? And if we look at this with science, then there's only one conclusion, and that's that the Earth isn't flat. I mean, you got confused between topography and curve. You know, planes fly based on gravity pulling them down, and the atmosphere that's curving anyway. You just balance the forces, you know. Then you said something about topography, which isn't the Earth curve, and a lot of it just seems to be your misunderstandings, and that's something that can be fixed.
I don't have a confusion of topography and like geometric shape. Topography.
Well, you were saying that
like
a plane would have to be.
the Earth.
Well, no, topography is like hills and stuff, right? Topography isn't the Earth's curve, which you kind of implied earlier that it was.
I was saying that if there was a damaged aircraft, it would need to know the surface that it's flying over. It would need to know if the ground. If
Why,
you're gonna be
why would it
landing
need to
on
know
ground
the
that-
shape of the ground when all the plane does is fly based on balanced forces?
If you're gonna be landing the plane, if you're going down and you're gonna be landing the plane 100 miles away from you, as you try to take a long incline down or
that's not how that works,
incline.
because the plane just flies through the atmosphere. The shape, it doesn't go longer because the Earth's curved. It's simply once you reduce the forces being applied, gravity pulls it down. It's as simple as that.
But the ground that you're going to be landing on that's way out in front of you is 6,000 feet beneath you.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Curved
work.
out beneath
No,
you.
it doesn't work like that though. You're thinking that south is down. It's not. Down is towards the center of the Earth. Down is towards the center of the Earth, so the plane wouldn't have to travel further because the ground's curving away. For the plane, it's not. The plane is just flying based on balance of forces, and that's it. All right? It's as simple as that. The balance of forces is what keeps the plane flying. The shape of the Earth does not matter in the slightest. Okay? Let me look, see if there's any super chats for you. Dihydrogen monoxide, £5, says, take your anti-evolution rhetorics to a biologist. What do you think they would say if they don't just tell you to fuck off?
I've done that, and that's a huge issue actually with what I've been through with my schooling. There's actually the science curriculum. I'm trying to work on getting heart disease reversal information into our medical teaching through so our cardiologists, our learning cardiologists can apply it when they have their practice. And there is
as long as
problems
it's
with
based on
abiogenesis and
there's no problems with
evolution
abiogenesis and evolution. There's zero problems with evolution. Evolution's been observed within our lifetime. So it's another debate. I will 100% debate you about evolution. We have proof of evolution, even speciation within our own lifetimes. So it's something that happens.
But evolution, it's too easy to smoke evolution.
No, it's not. It's really not. I will 100% debate you on evolution.
You can't show domain change. You can't show that plant and animal cells can come from the same population.
Yes, you can.
You can only imply it through genetic similarity.
No, you're entirely wrong. Just as you're wrong about all physics, you're wrong about all of that.
So you've observed a population. You've observed a population
speciation
produce offspring that over time have plant cells from one population and
that's a straw man. That's a straw man of evolution. So that's something we'd have to deal with.
The narrative of evolution.
No, it's not. That's a straw man of evolution. So what we would need to do is for you to learn to steel man evolution, which you can't do.
Are
at the
plants
moment,
and animals related?
They would have a common ancestor, yes. But what you just did, the way that you did it, would be a straw man of evolution.
The narrative.
Yeah, again, but the way that you just described things would be a complete straw man of evolution. The fact that we have DNA that is similar, exactly the same as many, many plant species, shows that that's the fact, right? But anyway,
we have plant population, animal population.
Yeah, we have DNA that is the same as what plants have. Right, we have DNA that is the same as plants. Simple. But anyway, that can be
similar elements.
Yeah, thanks to evolution. But I can 100% debate you about that, about evolution, because you seem to know as little about evolution as you do with physics. So CJ Lemerick's member 5 months says reality is the Earth is a globe. Demo member 11 months says Nathan, do you
other than what you experience?
Well, I experience the Earth being a globe, definitely as a sailor. Nathan, do you also yell at kids like Nathan Thompson?
No, absolutely not.
Good, don't do that. CJ Lamerick's Earth is a globe. Dihydrogen monoxide for £2 says, if the human body's perfect, why the fuck do I have CFS? Yeah, you kind of answered that with some Bible nonsense. Oh. Darren for $4.99 said, "Ha! Your insecure God should not be worshipped, let alone used as evidence. Please read Exodus 21:20-21 and see what that says."
Should we pull it up? Pull it up if you want.
I mean, I don't really care about the Bible. It's just a book. I put as much stack in Green Lantern comics as I do the Bible, except Green Lantern's a lot more interesting. I mean,
Hey,
do you want to know the reason? Do you want to know the reason I'm not? Do you want to know the reason that I'm not religious? And basically, the reason why I'm an atheist is because I've read the Bible, I've read the Quran, I've read Jewish texts, I've read religious stuff, and that's the reason I'm not religious, because it's all fucking nonsense. Rachbot for $5 Australian says, "Whoa, all of those things just because someone ate a bit of fruit. If God was real, he is an asshole." And that's right. What do you think about the fact that if God is real, he is categorically a dick?
Absolutely not. He gave man paradise. He made us. He gave this earth to us with everything. We had dominion over it. Everything was amazing for humanity.
Doesn't matter. God made everything.
And there was one thing. It's like there's a hot spot, and he says
doesn't matter if God has the power to do it. Whatever he does, then he allows evil to exist. Everything that happens is because of God. Therefore, God is a dick. Every single bit of badness in this world is because of God. And let's be clear, if God is real, when we meet, I am punching him. We are fighting, and I am throwing the first punch. Because if God exists, he is the personification of evil. Jiffy Diffwell for $2 says, if God's so weak, why can't he make a globe Earth?
Hold on. Okay, first off, God is loving. He gave.
No, God is not loving. God is evil. God wiped out humanity. God is evil.
If you have a wife, you can choose to love her, or you can choose to not love her. By having both options and choosing to love her, it makes your love for her more genuine.
God is evil. Just like God allows evil, therefore God is evil.
And yes,
Nathan, I'm sorry. No, Nathan, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm not even going to argue this fact with you right now because it is a fact. If God exists, God is evil and does not deserve worshipping. Anyone that says, if you don't worship me, you go to hell, is not worth worshipping. The fact that you need to have the fear of hell for a moral compass does not make you a moral person. I am moral because I know not to do bad things, and I don't need God to tell me. The fact that God will send you to hell if you don't worship him shows that God is evil. End of discussion.
God will send people to hell who are evil in their heart, who want
but then God is evil. If God is willing to send people to eternal suffering if they do not worship him, then God is evil. If God wasn't evil, he would never allow anyone to suffer. End of discussion.
Hold on.
Christian Hodge is a member for 8 months.
People up in heaven, is that heaven then?
I'm sorry, but anyone that will force internal suffering on somebody else is evil. And it's not just people that hack people up that go to hell. It's people that don't worship God that go to hell. It's people that have committed any slight thing that God considers a sin go to hell. I do not want that. No. Christian Hodge, member for 8 months, says, wait, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the religious nonsense. Christian Hodge, member for 8 months, says, FTFE, remember to add a timestamp for the positive dirt pizza evidence. There never was any. PhD Tony, the only real man in the room, $10 Australian. Nathan, you've been told that what you're saying is wrong, and you've been provided with supporting evidence. He simply refuses to believe it. His religious fanaticism overwhelms any good judgment that he has. Yeah, everything that I showed you today, Toon went over with
Did you see how he provided a rocket launch and it had a GoPro fisheye lens and didn't go into outer space?
It clearly went into outer space, though.
It went past the man-decided Kármán line.
Yeah, that is space. That is space.
That's what we call space.
Yes, correct. Well done. It's what we call space. There's no firmament.
It didn't go far enough away from the Earth to show.
There's never been any detection of a firmament. Things have gone 93 million miles. The Voyager probe is outside of our solar system. It didn't go through a firmament.
NASA claim.
No facts. We can actually track it. Well,
NASA is an organization that can geoengineering, weather manipulation technology, and they don't help our farmers or our fires in the West.
You never showed any evidence that NASA are fake. You never showed any evidence that NASA are fake. The fact that you and I are talking right now is thanks to a lot of NASA's technology, but you never showed any evidence that NASA is fake.
I agree.
You never showed anything that shows that NASA is fake. Nikov Spilkomen for £5 says, Compensation for dragging you into a painful Twitter thread with 904 special needs the other day. Sorry, man. No worries, I got him deleted because he's a Nazi. And any of you Nazis on
That's not good.
X,
No supremacy.
any ex-Nazis, look at me. I'm getting your account removed. Every single one of you. I'm now up to 47. And it's not my fault that the Nazis also happen to be flat earthers. I don't care if you're flat earthers, right? If you post Nazi shit, I am clearing up Elon's mess. Jolene, member for 33 months. Wahoo. The Bible is also known as the Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy. Also, pineapple on pizza is amazing. It's not, you liar. Pineapple on
I
pizza?
like pineapple on pizza.
Ugh.
It's good.
Marvel or DC?
But the Bible is the guide. That's right. It's right about that.
Marvel or DC?
I'm not a comic. I don't do comics really. too much.
Well, you
Like
do.
Dragon
You
Ball
do the
Z,
Bible.
but,
That's a
like,
really big comic.
nah.
PhD Tony for $5 Australian says, ask your guest who said, kill them all. God will know his own.
Kill them all. So in the Old Testament, when God's people are going into other lands, they're going into areas where it's continuously evil and wicked people who attack
That
others
God
and
made.
go after innocent people.
Did God make the universe and everything in it? Yes or no?
God made everything and then gave
There we
man
go.
free
So,
will to
so
choose.
to finish off his thing,
God is not responsible for
religious
someone's decision.
ideology
You're not
is a
responsible
gateway
for what
to
I choose.
genocidal evil. That's it.
That's a complete twisting. That's
No,
convoluted.
it's just true.
Interpretation.
It's just true. I'm sorry, but
That's
you
so-
are.
it's
It's
so
like
far
you
off
have.
base.
It's like you've got Stockholm syndrome. You know, it's like you're held prisoner by someone that's treating you badly, but you still love them. That's what God is. Doctor
Okay, then
34
if God
and
is
5
bad,
for
why
5.
does he weep when we sin? Why does he weep when people are suffering?
Because he's a bit fucked up in the
If he's
head,
bad.
basically. He causes that suffering and then cries about it. That's fucking weird. Doctor 34M5
hold
for
on,
€5.
is he responsible for
I'm
someone who
reading
chooses
stuff,
to-
dude. Stop interrupting me when I'm reading out the stuff from my chat. That's disrespectful.
Well, I'm trying to answer that last question.
Craig, it's
And
not a
then
question.
carry the-
It's not a
conversate on
question. It's not a question. It is a fact. Religious ideology is a gateway to genocidal evil. Not a question, not a debate, factual statement. So,
Evolution is responsible
dude,
for tribalism and supremacy.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Darwin's book
Again-
was On the Origin of Species by Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life.
That doesn't mean what you think it
definitively
does. That is nothing. Oh my god.
Who's the favored race?
The favored race is the one that survives the environmental pressures.
And then they
It's
take,
nothing to do.
different
Right, no,
skulls
Nathan,
from
stop.
Native Americans
Nathan,
and
Nathan,
line them
stop.
up and glue them and
Nathan,
polish them to
stop.
show brain
Nathan,
size.
Nathan,
Or
stop.
the Benga, they put
Nathan,
in a-
can
in
you?
a
Right, I'm
zoo
gonna have to
in a
mute you
bronze
if you don't
suit.
stop, dude. Please. Right. What you just said about the book that Darwin wrote was incredibly stupid. It was nothing to do with racism. Favored races are those that survive the environmental pressures. Nothing to do with races. Nothing to do with racism. Everything that you just said was completely wrong. Okay?
So maybe
Don't
he
argue.
meant favored species?
No, favored races, because of the race, as in the race that evolves the best to survive the environmental pressures. Maybe you should read the book instead of sounding so fucking stupid, because that was incredibly dumb, and you can't deny the fact that religious ideology is a gateway to genocidal evil. Right, next thing, please don't interrupt.
So is tribalism
Doctor
supremacy.
34, no it's not. Doctor 34M5 for €5 says, Craig, please can our guest say how the geothermal gradient works on a flat Earth? We use it daily for geothermal energy. And how does that work if the Earth is flat?
So under us would be, I mean, yeah, it gets hot when you go down there.
It's curved, though,
The-
is the point that they're saying.
The gradient?
Yeah, the gradient is also curved. That's what they're saying.
Isn't it all based off of being perpendicular to gravity?
No, the gradient is also curved, which is thanks to it being perpendicular to gravity.
How is the gradient curved then?
Because of gravity. You just asked. Maybe
I'm confused
maybe
by
this.
that.
I know you're confused. Don't worry, but here's the answer for you.
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity!
Easy now.
Gravity!
Gravity curves graphs.
Yes, gravity curves and everything. Dihydrogen monoxide for £2 says, if
Except for
science
the
is
Earth
satanic,
is
then hail
in a
Satan.
geodesic straight
So
line.
when I'm reading out a super chat, Could you please not interrupt because they've paid for me to say this? Right. Dihydrogen monoxide for £2 says, if science is satanic, then hail Satan. PhD Tony for another $5 Australian says, so
why would
it's
you
okay
say that? Hold on, there's no response to that. Why would anyone ever say, hail the one who is evil and wants man to suffer? Why would you,
no, hold on. The Church of Satanism, the Church of Satanism preaches nothing but love and goodness. God says you will go to hell if you don't worship him. I think Satanism is way more good and pure than anything to do with Christianity. So absolutely hail Satan. PhD Tony for $5 Australian says, so it's okay for Nathan to say atheism is a source of unparalleled evil, but then demand the conversation be civil. Yeah, he says go fuck yourself. Yeah.
There are
religion.
I mean, there are
evil.
good and bad people of naturalism. There are good and bad people of Christianity.
Well, there
shouldn't
good and
bad people in pretty much any demographic.
Yeah, because religion sucks. Quantum Answer for 100 CZK. Stop saying biblical Earth in reference to flat Earth. Look, I'm an atheist, but you're arrogantly speaking for a huge group of people that disagree with you. Yeah, biblical Earth is not flat Earth. The Bible does not say the Earth is flat according to the majority of the people that follow your book. You are in the minority of the people that say that. No. The majority of people say that the book doesn't say that. You interpret it differently to most people. So you are wrong. Holy Smalls for 10. Again, the Bible does not say the Earth is flat. The Bible does not say the Earth is flat. The Bible does not say the Earth is flat. End of story. Holy Smalls for $10. The Bible does not say the Earth is flat. The Bible does not say the Earth is flat. It is not a flat Earth book. It is not a flat Earth book. It is not a flat Earth book. Stop lying. Holy Smalls for
Craig,
no. Just stop. Nathan, right, I'm going to mute you. If you don't stop, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to 5, 4. Nathan. No, it doesn't. We've known the Earth is a globe. We've known the Earth is a globe for thousands of years. The people that wrote the Bible had no concept about the shape of the Earth. So that's a completely stupid thing to say. But the Bible is not a flat Earth book and it's not a globe Earth book. It is not something that tells us the shape.
Describe the Earth
Nathan, why do you keep interrupting me? You're being incredibly rude. Nathan, I'm going to start getting angry with you and you're going to get FTFE if you keep interrupting me. Right? The Bible is not a flat Earth book. It does not say that the Earth is flat. It does not say that the Earth is a globe. It was based on the tiny portion of the world that those people lived in the fucking Middle East. That was it. Stop saying it's a flat Earth book because the majority of the people that use it disagree with you. End of discussion.
Hold on.
Craig, hold on. No, I said end of discussion. I said end of discussion, and I'm trying to read the next super chat. Holy Smalls for $10 says did
go to that question because I just
Holy Smalls. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Holy Smalls for $10 says
super chat referencing my position.
Holy Smalls says for $10, did everyone see Flatsoy tried to prove God on the line using the second law of thermodynamics? No matter what you think about God, it's a fucking horrible. Oh yeah, it was hilarious. Flatsoy's a fucking dumbass.
Hold on. We're not. And now it's just going to be turned in like a God bashing kind of a thing. I want to answer.
Well, God's easy to bash. I really don't want you
Craig,
to.
I heard
Jiffy Jiffworld gives one membership.
The Bible's not a flat Earth book.
It's definitely not a flat Earth book. Next discussion. Daniel Jackson thank you, Jiffy Jiffworld, for gifting a membership. I really appreciate it. Daniel Jackson, 9.99 says, by the power of Tim, the magical space monkey that flung the poo that became us all, have a drink on me. Thank you very much for your super chat, Cherry. And Jiffy Jiffold gifted 2 memberships. Lord Luminous Poo for 6 months says, a weasel walks into the bar. The bartender says, whoa, I've never served a weasel. What can I get you? Pop goes the weasel. Slivery member for 15 months says, beat boop.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So Turtle Moose for $2 says, his Papa Flerf is strong with this one. Yeah, I'm sensing some Dubai. Lord of Luminous Poo for $2. His Papa Witsit or Flatzoid? Well, definitely some Witsit in there, that's for sure.
I'm me. I'm not these other guys like.
Well, you've got Flatzoid and Witsit and Dubai arguments. So, Professor Philip Bell, who sent something to the moon, says, and he's been a member for 7 months. Please tell Nathan to reach out to me when he starts his physics courses. I will tutor him for free and help him get through it. Well, that is from someone with a PhD who worked for the Indian Space. That's Professor Philip Bell, who has a PhD and worked for the Indian Space Agency on Chandrayaan-1 mission. So he will give you free tutoring for physics.
Thank you, Phil.
I charge you £75 an hour.
It's really nice of you.
Yeah, I charge my students £75 an hour, so I'm not that nice.
Wow. Phil, thank you.
I will make sure you get his email. PhD Tony, $10 Australian. Near surface wind tends to flow parallel to isobars, not across them, because Coriolis balances pressure gradient effects. This is called geostrophic flow, which is, not possible if the Earth is flat. You need to look into that.
Tony, I remember I was looking at something with geostrophic flow once we talked. That was I'll have to pull that back up. I couldn't respond to that right now.
Lord Anonymous Pooh for $5. Pooh's theory of relativities. Everyone has that uncle who doesn't get invited to reunions. If you don't, when's the last reunion you were invited to? And another one from Pooh for $5. No, it was a joke. Says the power of the one, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many Disney failures. Yeah, we don't talk about Disney ruining Star Wars here. The Watcher for $5 says, Craig, did you watch the clip I sent you of Witchit being racist? Yes, I did, and don't worry, I'm going to be covering that. Witsit, you're a racist fucker, and I'm taking you down. Lex Carney, $1.99.
No, he's not even here to defend himself with that.
He watches my videos. He watches every single one of my videos, and he's he can try and defend himself, but he's a racist prick.
I hope he's not racist.
Oh, he fucking is. I've got a video of him being extremely racist. Lex Carney says, Lucy, what's the weather for tomorrow? My phone is not in the room with me. Well, Lucy's not on it right now. JSS Tiger for $10. To the flat earther, if the sky was given to us for navigation, why does it move instead of being stationary?
So we can keep time as well.
But we can keep time without the sky.
Maybe now, but it gives a reference, and it's always visible. You can always see the sun.
What a sucky clock.
Most times, depending on where you're at.
Dihydrogen monoxide for £2 says, Nathan, how big and far away is the moon?
I don't know.
It's about the fifth the size of Earth, and it's about 250,000 miles away. JSS Tiger for $5 says, you are the smartest flat Earth Nathan. There you go. JSS Tiger calls you the smartest flat Earth Nathan. But then your competition is.
I don't know. I mean, there are smart people all over the. There are a lot of smart.
There's
people.
no flat earthers.
I'd rather be nice
than
smart though.
Yeah. This is Nathan Thompson.
Hey guys, you want to hear a funny story while we're all chatting, dude? I'm dating a first grader.
And this is Nathan Oakley.
Hi, my name's Nathan Oakley, and I have been lying to people about the Earth being flat for a lot of years. I did this to hide the fact I have a small penis.
I mean, that's what he says,
that to me completely inappropriate. There's no reason for that to. They're not here. Talk with them about that. Those
are their words, man. I like to play their words. It's always fun. Nathan Thompson actually said that about a first grader. Tim Davidson for $2 says, speculation like philosophy is mental masturbation. Yeah, you're not wrong. PhD Tony, $5 Australian says, why does the sense of the vortex change senses in the southern hemisphere? It's a very good question. Why would a vortex above us make things rotate different ways? Hemispheres only make, across the equator, they go different ways. So a vortex really doesn't make any sense, does it?
It keeps it's east to west.
No, it's not. It's clockwise and counterclockwise.
But on Earth for directionality, it's always east to west.
But it's also always right. If you're in the northern hemisphere, no matter which direction you look, the stars rotate counterclockwise. If you're in the southern hemisphere, no matter which direction you look, the stars rotate clockwise.
If I look towards the North Pole while I watch the stars rotate, or if I turn around and look at the equator as I watch the stars rotate, they are going to appear to go from right to left or left to right.
They're going to go counterclockwise no matter which way you look.
They're going to appear, they can go counterclockwise, but how I look at it will have them go left to right or right to left.
But it doesn't matter how you look at it, they will always go counterclockwise.
They're going east to west.
Again, it doesn't matter. They will always go counterclockwise, no matter which direction you look in the northern hemisphere. The stars going around Polaris go counterclockwise. The stars going around Sigma Octantis go clockwise. Thanks, Globe. Quantum answer for 100 CZKs. You're just making shit up, since when making stuff up constitutes a conversation about reality. You can do that for fun when you're hitting a bong with friends, but this is ridiculous. The aether equals magic. Yeah, maybe you should smoke.
Dark matter, dark energy, space-time fabric.
Well, you don't. I think you clearly don't know what dark energy and dark matter is, because they are just placeholders within the scientific method. Because we are just at the observation stage.
They're placeholders.
Yeah, but we have done the observations. We can see that there's something happening that would match what we say with gravity, but we can't yet detect what that is. We have made no positive claims about it. It may change its name, or we may understand what it is further in the future. What we do know is there's something causing gravitational effects that is non-baryonic in nature. That's it.
We are at the process that they couldn't. We are at the process of making accelerated motion of the galaxy arms.
Yes, but this does. Again, you interrupted me. You did interrupt me when I was speaking. Right? You did interrupt me whilst I was speaking. Right? We've seen something that is happening. And we are in the process of making predictions and explaining it. That is it. What you're doing is strawmanning dark magic and dark energy by going, oh, it's a hole in your model. It's not. That's not how it works. It's not how scientific models work. Okay. JSS Tiger for $5 says Nathan.
Pretty accurate. Might have been Freudian.
Amazing how I get two sentences in. JSS Tiger for $5 says Nathan needs to download the program Stellarium. Yes, you probably should do that. The Leviathan for $4.99.
I don't get to say nothing to that, or
he's just telling you to download it. That's all. Also, download Solar System Scope.
Used to have a thing where you could go like 500 years into the future, and they wouldn't change Polaris at all. And then they recently, like a couple years ago, they changed it. I think because Jaren has changed the internet a lot with some of the stuff he's.
Jarenism
stuff that.
Did you say Jarenism's changed the internet a lot?
I mean, like with the Knoll School getting taken down and
oh my God,
South Pole stations and stuff like that. Yeah,
okay, the Leviathan for $4.99 says Nathan. Hey, Jarenism's going to be a globe earther by the end of this year. That'd be fun. Leviathan for $4.99 says Nathan, remember that mountain you spoke about? Notice how slow it moves. The further something away is, the slower it moves. Yeah, I think we beat that one to a bush.
But distant stars move just as fast as close ones.
No, they don't. There's a difference. You can tell.
They're equal distant.
Clearly didn't listen to what I said, because I told you that there is differences, but they're very hard to measure because the movement is very small compared to us. Richard Lewis gave £2. Thank you very much. The Turtle Moves for £2 says on parallax, so you can't use your senses. Yeah, exactly. The senses don't allow you to measure that.
Parallax is with your eyes.
Yeah, that's a sense, but your eyes aren't good enough to actually tell the difference in parallax because it's so small. Nathan Bishop for $5 says, "Am I the only good Nathan in existence?" Yeah, you know you can change your name, bud. Just saying. Richard Lewis for £2 says, "I am unable to chat."
Your Nathan's a good name.
Richard Lewis, what do you mean you're unable to chat, bud? Because you sent me a super chat, which means that you can chat. Thank you. Eddie Reese for £2 says, "These are small, and those out there are far away." Thanks, Father Ted. Austin Salmons for $5 says, "I showed up late, but it seems like this Flerf could be one to the globe." What would it take you to convince the Earth's a globe?
Well, the final experiment, I think, would be like if the sun stays up all for 24 hours. I can't think of any way that I like in debates that I've been in, I've said that the shape of the Earth is primarily determined by the ground and what we do on the ground. Secondarily is caused by the sky, and tertiary would be like forces upon the Earth, like downward acceleration. But I do think that the sun itself, because it has to be overhead for the people who see it, there's no conception I can think of on a flat Earth using the heavens of the sky and the mystery of the sky and some divine layout. I can't think of any way where the sun would be able to make a circle. So if the sun did stay up, I would I would become a globe earther again, which, by the way, I mean, people should keep in mind, like, people who are flat earthers were globe earthers, had no problem with being a globe earther. I didn't have any issue with it. I attributed the universe to God's grand creation, but the flat earth is more empirical and way more special for humanity. The Bible, if you actually read it, is a book we would want to be true, because that means eternal salvation is a free gift. And then we have eternity with our loved ones, and there's more to this life. If the earth, and reality though is important, if the earth is a globe, then that is important to know, so we can do away with religions, and the Bible would be wrong, and we could go through like a scientific revolution essentially if there were no religion. So that's, that
would be great if there was no religion.
I go where
how long did it take your God to make the universe?
6 days.
Ha! It only took mine 5, and he was heavily drinking. All praised his noodly appendages. Ramen. Liz K. Moment for 19 months says, just show him what he asked for, and his response is, no. That's Flerfs, mate. Jared Henry for $2 says, would love to see evidence of the firmament. Yeah, that doesn't exist.
It's also not I can't break off a piece of unbreakable firmament and then give it to you.
Yeah, but we've gone way past where the firmament would be, so it's definitely not there. Tim Davidson for $2 says, 2 words, where's Voyager? Definitely outside the solar system. You never presented any evidence that NASA do anything fake, so there's that. Chad Stewart for $2 says, FTFE haven't explained Voyager. Yeah, we did. He says it's fake. Tim Davidson for $2, it's as photoshopped as any other panorama picture. Yeah. I always find that funny when they show
different
this.
From a panorama.
Well, it's basically a panorama because it's lots put together. JSS Tiger.
You think you could go far enough away from the Earth and just take a picture of the whole thing in frame?
They do lots of times. Like for instance, the 1971 Blue Marble. This one, but that one they wanted a lot more.
43 years to get another one.
Yeah, because they haven't gone that far away. But they have done it, and they don't.
Is there a Rio?
So what? And again, you keep interrupting me when I'm talking. The one that was earlier was closer for a reason. They wanted more detail.
And then you're going to cram it in, and wouldn't resolution be an issue if you're trying to take all these higher detailed, closer pictures, and you're trying to...
Well, yeah, sure, resolution is going to be a problem, but they made it 8K, probably more than that. JSS Tiger, NASA can't make flat earthers read captions yet. MB for £5, any deity that cannot or will not prevent pain and suffering isn't worth acknowledgement, never mind worship. Yeah, we're not going to get into that discussion, but God's evil. Otto for $2 says
creation had no death.
We'd say we're not getting into that. God is evil. End of story. Otto for $2. This guy should come on after his physics class. God causes suffering. End of story. Holy Smalls for $5. If you read the Bible,
without any.
Yep. Does God send people to hell? Yes or no. Therefore, God causes suffering. God is evil. Holy Smalls for $5. If you read the Bible, Satan is the first hero and God is the first villain. I know, it's incredible.
If the Earth was a globe, that would actually have some truth.
It's definitely a globe. Jared Henry for $2. Doesn't the Bible specifically mention a globe? In certain translations, yes, it does. Quantum Answer for 100.
So people can feel like they match their worldview with the Bible.
No. How is it 99.9% of Christians disagree with you? All of them believe Earth is a globe, and at the same time the Bible is right. You are making the Bible wrong if you insist it says the Earth is flat.
The Bible needs to be a flat Earth book because chronologically the Bible predates the first conceptions of a globe, so there was no way.
Well, it also predates any conception of a flat Earth.
References the Earth as a footstool, as pressed clay, as a circle with a tent
also
over
mentions it as a globe, but anyway. Joe's Incarnate for £10 says, thanks for being you, Craig. We all love you. Check out my songs about Shane's flat Earth model, including one that uses his word salad he tried against Red's rhetoric. Thank you, I will, buddy. Alison for $5 Australian says, should we bring up navigation and distance calculations? Oh, right, it's not a topic that we'll ever find a Flerf capable to talk about yet. If you could do me a favour for our next discussion, research the Haversine formula. I'd appreciate that. Dihydrogen monoxide for £2. Yeah, it's how they navigate. Dihydrogen monoxide, £2. Nathan, how far away in km are the stars in kilometres?
I don't know.
A lot. I don't know why he wants you to guess that, but Zumi Tomato, hey Zumi, $2 says, hey, just remember, I'm not super chatting you. Well, you better fucking not. I'll tell you what, if you super chat me to me, I'm going to be really annoyed at you. Tim Davidson for $5 says, in the Bible, the devil kills about 6 people. Job's family, with God's permission, God wipes out the entire world. Who's got the higher KD?
God, according to the what the Bible says about the flood, the only people that died in the flood were evil continuously, which is the world was so corrupted that there were only a couple people left.
Good job,
Noah
God,
even
making
gave
a
people
corrupted
chance
world.
and told them that there was going to be a flood, and people didn't want to hear it. They wanted to keep going with their wicked lifestyle.
Good job, God, for making all those wicked things. That's awesome of you. I really appreciate it. And Nathan, thank you for coming on and talking to me. I really do appreciate it. I'd actually really like to do this again. And we'll get into some of the other stuff. I'd like to have a discussion with you about evolution, because I can show you it happening within our lifetime. And maybe
Richard Lenski's got the LTEE, and there's still E. coli after like 2 million simulated years.
Yeah, but that doesn't disprove what I just said. So, and also, yeah, I'd love the discussion about whether God is evil or not. We can definitely do that. But thank you very much for coming on, and I'll speak to you later.
Yeah, Craig, thank you very much for having me. And
no worries.
It was nice. So
Thank
take care,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
Why? Why is everyone so dumb that thinks the Earth is flat? Well, guys, thank you very much. That was a lovely little comeback stream after my epic 50 hour. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody so much for that incredible stream that I expected to last for 7 hours and you made last for 50. I'm pretty sure you did try to kill me, but yeah, you guys are amazing. The support you show me is just fucking incredible. It always is going to be incredible. David499 says, which rotates faster, the Earth or the hour hand on your watch? They can't answer these kind of questions. You know the kind of questions we need to ask, though, at times like this is very important questions. Questions like, can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars?
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now.
Good morning. These words come with a storm warning. Better batten down the hatches, grab some matches and brace yourself for a long day of misery. YouTube has given me the power to reach up into the sky and show you all that we live on the ball. I bring you science that's comprehensible. Your view is indefensible. You're reprehensible. Oh, Mr. Sensible. When I was young, I never thought I would be here to see this. A pile of random nonsense dressed up as bull. Your ignorance will be the death of us all, like running head first, full speed into a wall. You could always read a book, buy a telescope, set it up and take a photo of the moon, or just be a buffoon. I send you in a balloon up to the stratosphere on page 3.
You're a few fries short of a happy meal. You're dumber than a box of hair. The wheel's spinning but the hamster's dead, and you're as smart as bait. You forgot to pay your brain bill. You're missing a few buttons on the remote control. 24 cents short of a quarter. You're surfing in Nebraska. You're as bright as Alaska in December, and you fell out of your family tree. You don't have all the cornflakes in one box. You got an IQ of 2 and it takes 3 to grunt. The elevator doesn't go all the way up, and there's a vacancy on the top floor. Your antenna doesn't pick up all the channels. You're several nuts short of a
You're Mr.
fruitcake.
Sensible, calm down, don't go too hard. You don't need the hard to burying Flerfs in your backyard. You're a man of science, poise and grace. Mage 2 did everything to wipe the grins off the face. So Nathan, get away from those kids. The world is not flat and it doesn't have a lid. Recognize the differences between the textbook and the Bible and control yourself. Lay off your slander and your lies. You're a bunch of knobs poisoning the well of the youth, spreading lies that you like to claim as knowledge and truth. Stop spreading fresh bullshit like the butter on your bread. Maybe a musical assault and knock some sense into your head. I hope one day you'll hear these lyrics and smile, and you realise you used to be a 40-year-old child. Now it's time to wake up, open your eyes and see, and acknowledge the existence of
Gravity! You're a few clowns short of a circus. Your phone is off the hook. Your sewing machine is out of thread. You're all foam and no beer. You don't have all your dogs on one leash. An intellect rivaled only by garden tools. There's no grain in your silo, and your skylight leaks a little.
Your belt doesn't go through all the loops. You couldn't pour water out of the boot without instructions on the heel. Your slinky's kinked, and you're proof that evolution can work in reverse. A few feathers short of a whole duck, one fruit
Can we
short
pretend
of a
that
full bowl.
airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a bring right now, bring right now, bring right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a bring right now, bring right now, bring right now.
You thought it was over? Well, I'm still standing while you're swinging, flinging feces, talking shit just like the human centipede. You got the mind of a chimp, and I'm here to expedite your shore leave. Cause I'm a seaman, but not the kind I writ up on your mum's gums. I'm the kind that sailed submarines and fired guns. I could float a boat across the ocean with my eyes closed, circumnavigate the globe with a compass and a bag of sausage rolls. Well, all you can do is nibble on your toes. I'll smack you with the hose that you taught a water level, sit and swivel. You nasal gazing muppet, you can stuff it harder than the wallet stuffed by Warren Buffett. And I don't care about your sauces unless you're serving them. And I don't care about your lines unless you're curving them. Now step away from me, you're sucking up my oxygen with a vacuum where your brain should be, you dumb fuck.
Yo, listen up, it's your boy Birch in the his house. Boy, a plan so slick, gonna make your pockets his house. I got an app that's gonna change your life, but before you download, let me slice through the strife. They say the earth's a globe, but I beg to differ. I'll make you believe, I'll make you shiver. Spectroscopy needs a container, that's my claim. I've got no clue, I just hang my head in shame. Yo, listen up, it's your boy Dirt H in the his house. That's the his house. Got a plan so slick, gonna make your pockets his house. I got an app that's gonna change your life, but before you download, let me slice through the strife. They say the earth's a globe, but I beg to differ. I'll make you believe, I'll make you shiver. Spectroscopy needs a container, that's my claim. I've got no clue, I just hang my head in shame. But turn up, that's the line I'm preaching. Sell my app, it's what I'm seeking. Fake challenge, try your luck. While I'm laughing, pocketing a buck. I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
Flat Earth, that's the lie I'm preaching. Sell my app, it's what I'm seeking. Fake challenge, try your luck. While I'm laughing, pocketing a buck. I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
I'm a scammer.
Yo, Dave Weiss is a scammer. Talk about Antarctica, the icy place. I offered a free trip, dangled it in my face, but I won't go. It's not about thrift. I'm staying home, gotta protect my grip. I'm a scammer. I'm a scammer. Yo, Dave Weiss is a scammer. Talk about Antarctica, that icy place. Offered a free trip, dangled it in my face, but I won't go, it's not about the thrift. I'm staying home, gotta protect my grip. I'm a scammer. Antarctica, that icy place. Offered a free trip, dangled it in my face, but I won't go, it's not about thrift. I'm staying home, gotta protect my grip. I'm a scammer. The scammer, I play the game. Gonna hustle hard, gonna rise to fame. But remember one thing, it's all a ploy. To make that green, I'll be your decoy. So if you wanna join, come take my hand. But beware the tricks, it's all planned. T-I-T-R-H, that's my name. In the world of scams, I got the fame.
I'm a scammer.
Yes, you are, Dave. Yes, you are. Nico Spilkerman for £5 says, did he just do the... I know that the stars are all the same distance away, but we don't know what the distance is. Yeah, they always say, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not that, because they're fucking stupid. And then Warren Smith for $20 says, here, scam 20 off of me. Yeah, thank you. Give me all your money. Come on. I'm a scammer. Give me all your cash. I demand it all right now. Why haven't you given me it? Come on, super chat. What are you doing? I'm not leaving here till you super chatted me. Yeah, you. Nah, only kidding. My channel is not about forcing you guys to give money. Everything I do is for you to watch and for you to love and enjoy. I love doing this for you. It's the best job in the world. You guys are an amazing audience. I hope you've enjoyed today. I'll be back very soon with more. Stay tuned. Make sure you're checking out all the shorts. And you know what, guys? I fucking love you. Every single one of you. Just, not you, Gary. Remember, stupidity's not a right. Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat. 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 Fight the flat.
Hi, my name's Nathan Oakley, and I have been lying to people about the Earth being flat for a lot of years. I did this to hide the fact I have a small penis.
I'm a dumb flat earther, and I don't understand science.
Level.